Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I'm in Konoha, start with a forest fruit. Chapter 61. Chenny Lu Ren, this is the tomb I prepared for you. On the battlefield, Danzo, who should have died. The figure miraculously appeared a few meters away again. Looking indifferently at this towering giant tree with a diameter of no less than 10 meters, he said coldly. Ah, Danzo, even if you want to die, you can't always use this method to die with the enemy. In Danzo's flinching gaze, Lu Ren, who should have been swallowed by the giant tree. The figure appeared strangely on the towering giant tree with luxuriant branches. He was a little playful. It's useless, I am the embodiment of nature, any plant will only be my arm. Danzo, who didn't wait for his complexion to change drastically, began to attack. The exaggerated giant tree surged crazily. A large number of tree roots and branches shot out like 363 lightning. Quote. Unexpected Danzo. It was directly swallowed by the giant tree again. 5 left. The figure of Lu Ren stepped out of the giant tree. He looked at Danzo, who was resurrected by Uzumaki again, and his face was ashen. With such unscrupulous use of wood style, your chakra should not be able to hold on long ago. Danzo stared at Lu Ren, who was not flushed or panting, as if he hadn't consumed at all. Danzo was a little surprised. He is very clear. Wood style is certainly powerful. But the consumption of chakra is also not small. Guess how long I can last. Lu Ren was playful. He is nature incarnate. Standing in this forest, he is invincible. Because, from those trees, they can continuously absorb the essence contained in them to supplement themselves. Although there is an upper limit to the amount of his own chakra, the recovery speed of his own chakra far exceeds the speed of consumption. Comparable to the 9 tails that claim to have unlimited chakra. The constant use of Uzumaki, and the consumption of wood-style chakra just now. Danzo's eyes were filled with surprise. Do you want to retreat directly? Thinking. There was determination in his eyes. Without hesitation, he threw a smoke bomb in the direction of Lu Ren. Just turn around and run away. Kai. However, at this moment, the sharp roots of the vines pierced the air. Without warning, it came from the front. Unexpectedly, Danzo had no time to dodge. Directly penetrated the body. In front of it, if not Lu Ren, who else? Swipe. Danzo reappeared a few meters away. Without looking back, he ran wildly into the distance. What? Sudden. Danzo felt a chill in his heart. Without any hesitation, he jumped up violently. Sure enough, a large number of wooden vines rushed out from under the feet in an instant. Straight towards him. Danzo dodged the vines in a panic. But a figure quietly appeared behind him. Quote. There was a scream. A figure exactly like Lu Ren appeared there. At some point, the right arm turned into a terrifying vine and pierced through Danzo's chest. 4. Brush. All of a sudden, Danzo, who was resurrected again, looked gloomy. Wood clone. But at this moment, there is no time to rush to the distance in the future. His right arm suddenly rioted. Ah! Danzo looked pained and screamed there. Because of using Uzumaki too many times and using wood-style ninjutsu, the 2 chakra energies of Hidan and Yongdan on the right arm lost their balance. Reversed by first-generation cells. Danzo stared hard. The left hand severely severed the right arm. He rushed to the distance in a hurry. My grand dream of unifying the ninja world and pacifying the chaotic world has not been realized yet, so I must not die here. But now I only felt a pain in my right eye. He screamed terribly. Ah! Immediately afterwards, his right arm, there was another sharp pain. He just felt the scene in front of him change. 2 bloody vines danced. One with a hideous arm inlaid with a large number of Sharingan. The other had a bloody eyeball on it. Lu Ren put his hands in his pockets and said with a smile, "It's really hard work for you, Danzo. You sent me Shisui's eyes from all the way. How is it possible? Could it be?" Painful Danzo, sweating profusely. 0. Looking at Lu Ren in front of him, and the arm grabbed by the vine. Looking at the surrounding ruins. There is no trace of him using tree roots to explode and die with Lu Ren. Even the standing position is exactly the same as the position where Lu Ren stood with Uzumaki's resurrection after he failed to use distinguished heavenly gods and was attacked. His left eye was bloodshot, staring at Lu Ren in front of him. His complexion was unprecedentedly ugly. Is it an illusion? The answer is correct, but unfortunately there is no reward. Lu Ren said with a smile. Tsukuyomi. It doesn't look like distinguished heavenly gods. But strictly speaking, it is not inferior at all, but the effect is different. After all, Tsukuyomi's world is dominated by him, the magician, whether it is time, space, quality, or even other structures. This means that in the world of Tsukuyomi, he is the god, the creator who rules everything. From the failure of using distinguished heavenly gods, after using Izanagi to avoid the unfavorable factor of being distracted. Since seeing him possess the Mangekyo Sharingan, Danzo was already caught in his illusion from the moment he stared at him in shock. Even in the fantasy world of Tsukuyomi, he was deceived by the scene of the first-generation cell on his right arm, thinking that he had really lost his right arm and no longer maintained the technique of Izanagi. The previous battle in the world of Tsukuyomi is said to have passed for a long time. But in fact, the outside world only passed for a moment. From the very beginning, Danzo has been there unmoved. What happened? Looking at this scene from a distance, Tsunade has been watching the battlefield. Seeing that Danzo was suddenly attacked by Lu Ren using vines, not only did he not resist, his right eye was easily taken away, his entire right arm was brutally torn off, and he did not use Izanagi to reverse the situation at all. She couldn't help being shocked inexplicably, and took a breath. Could it be an illusion? Is this the Tsukuyomi that Lu Ren mentioned? Even Danzo with the Mangekyo Sharingan can't see through it. Is it Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi? In the messy ruins, with cold sweat on his head and blood all over his body, Danzo almost couldn't stand still. Holding on to his staggering body, he looked at Lu Ren unwillingly, a little unwilling to believe. Impossible, I also have a Mangekyo Sharingan, it is impossible not to see through mere Tsukuyomi. Anyway, he both has Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. Even if Tsukuyomi, which is the pupil art of Mangekyo Sharingan, cannot be cracked. They shouldn't even know they've hit Tsukuyomi and fallen into an illusion. Is the gap really that big? No, he didn't believe it. If it's Uchiha Shisui himself, maybe he can see through Tsukuyomi's flaws. Lu Ren was full of disdain, and sarcastically said, but you, who transplanted the eyes of the Uchiha clan and barely controlled the powerful pupil power with the first-generation cells, are far behind. Talking. In Danzo's unwilling and angry eyes, Shisui's eyeball pierced by vines shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. The pupil power was swallowed and turned into fly ash. Hateful. He tightly clenched his remaining left fist, his eyes tearing apart. Chenny Lu Ren, you fool, do you know how precious that eye is? This is the precious eye that he has worked so hard to get. It is him who will become Hokage in the future, the greatest reliance on unifying the ninja world. It was destroyed just like that. It's just a dispensable eye, destroy it and destroy it. Lu Ren smiled. He will never tell Danzo that he has obtained the strongest illusion of distinguished heavenly gods. Moreover, it has perfect yang escape power. It only takes less than 2 or 3 months. The pupil power consumed by distinguished heavenly gods can be completely recovered. Danzo stared hard. With a determined face on his face, he was about to rush towards Lu Ren. Sinister brat, your existence is definitely a threat to Konoha, even if you die, I will. He is desperate. Know that no matter what the other party does, it is impossible to let yourself go. Naturally, he will not beg for mercy naively. Relatives have passed away. It is even more impossible to threaten Chenny Lu Ren with dead people. But Hishimura Danzo is dead. Also drag each other to be buried with him. Want to die with me? Lu Ren's complexion remained unchanged, and he asked calmly, why do you think that? You have left Tsukuyomi now, instead of still being in my illusion. Talking. In Danzo's shocked gaze. Next moment. Moreover, the whole scene has changed again. In front of the Hokage building, he was bound to the scaffold of a cross, unable to move. And his broken right arm is restored, and his right eye is also Sharingan. But just like that, without any cover, it was exposed to the whole village ninjas and villagers. Beside him, also tied to the rack, were 3 high-ranking Konohas, including 3rd Hokage, Mitokado Homura, and Udatain Kaharu. Below, there are countless Konoha villagers and Konoha ninjas. On the roof of the Hokage building, headed by Tsunade, she held up the Hokage hat that Danzo had dreamed of countless times, and announced vigorously, from today, I am the 5th Hokage. Oh oh oh. Master Hokage, long live. Master Hokage, please start judging the criminals. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Udatane Kaharu, Mitokado Homura. They are sinners, they should all be killed. The former Konoha was so powerful, but under the power of these conspirators, those powerful ninjas of Konoha in the past, died and walked away. Yes, Konoha has become like this, they have an unshirkable responsibility. Master Hokage, we must not let them go. Hang them, hang them. No, that's too cheap for them. They should be hacked to pieces. Especially that Shimura Danzo conspired to persecute the ninjas in the village more than once, and even colluded with Orochimaru to use the children in the village to conduct brutal human experiments. Look at his arms, and his eyes, it's disgusting. He keeps saying that the Uchiha clan is ambitious, but he is the one who is really ambitious. It's all Sharingan, and Shodai's face. What a disgusting guy, such a person still wants to be a Hokage. I don't even look in the mirror to see how neither human nor ghost I am. Yes, he should be skinned and cramped, and his bones should be smashed to ashes. Watching Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo and others on the rack. The ninjas and villagers in the village were furious and furious. They all shouted there. Moreover, a lot of rotten eggs, rotten vegetable leaves, golden urine. Toward Shimura Danzo and other former high-level officials, they smashed them one after another. They used to be well-dressed and pampered, but suddenly they became filthy, exuding a disgusting smell, even worse than beggars. Untouchables, how dare you treat us like this? Tied to the torture rack, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Udatane Kaharu, Mitokado Homura and others, who were powerless to resist, all cursed there, I should have killed you in the first place. But in a blink of an eye, his mouth was blocked by rotten eggs, golden juice and other things. Danzo, do you recognize it? The fifth Hokage Tsunade, overlooking Shimura Danzo. Tsunade, no, Chenny Lu Ren, I will never plead guilty. Shimura Danzo, who was full of stench and was about to vomit, his eyes tearing apart, roared angrily, everything I do is for Konoha, I am not wrong. Yeah, immediately afterwards, Tsunade's figure directly turned into second Hokage. Teacher, all of this is done by Danzo, it has nothing to do with us. Teacher, please forgive us. It's all Danzo's fault. See second Hokage appearing with a dignified face. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Udatane Kaharu, and Mitokado Homura couldn't help but change their expressions, revealing expressions of horror. Busy there begging for mercy loudly, pushing all the faults and crimes on Danzo. Second Hokage Senju Tobirama, on the other hand, looked at Shimura Danzo with a face full of disappointment. Danzo, you have disappointed me so much. It seems that my original decision was correct. After all, a monkey is more suitable to be a Hokage than you. Ah, Danzo's eyes are tearing open. Some pale old faces flushed. Become extremely ferocious. Chenny Lu Ren. This fool dared to humiliate him like this. He Shimura Danzo. Definitely not worse than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Execution. Second Hokage ordered. Every villager, every ninja is assigned a knife. With disgust and contempt, they stepped forward in turn. Disgusting guy. Neither human nor ghost, go to hell. You still want to be Hokage? Don't take a pee and take care of yourself. Had Senju an Uchiha, had Konoha's white fang, had Sannin, how powerful was Konoha with yellow glitter? Senju was killed by your conspiracy, even Shodai's grandson, you didn't let go. The Hyuga family was suppressed by you incompetent people, and Uchiha was also exterminated by you. Konoha's white fang was forced to death by you back then, and Sannin was also forced away by you one after another. If it wasn't for the fact that, the strong man in the village, was destroyed by you, how could Lord Fourth Generation die? The reason why Konoha is declining more and more is because of you. It started by spitting on Danzo. Then, mercilessly thrust the blade into his body. The continuous cynicism, accompanied by the unspeakable pain, can't help but hit. Quote. He was shaking and sweating profusely. Suffering from great pain, he gritted his teeth and roared, Chenny Lu Ren, I won't give in, just use whatever you can. Ah, what is buried deep in the ground to protect the roots of Konoha? Don't put gold on your face, you are just a careerist who uses it to fight for power and profit in the name of roots. The roots that really take root in the ground can at least absorb water from the ground and feed back to the trees. Aside from persecuting the ninjas in your own village, what else have you guys done? Everything is for Konoha, so hypocritical. Too many lies, self-hypnosis, have you lied to yourself? It's disgusting to let someone else sacrifice themselves when it's your turn to say nothing. Danzo, you are such a hypocritical and selfish person, you also want to be Hokage. Do you deserve to be Hokage? I bother. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's not just countless swords that constantly pierce the body. Even all kinds of cynicism never stopped, hitting Danzo's mind all the time. For the self-important and ambitious Shimura Danzo, those words were sharper than real knives, piercing his heart. Bloody. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Rao is Danzo, who claims to have experienced many battles and has a firm will. Can't help but collapse. Ah, ahem, Chenny Lu Ren, you won. Shimura Danzo was in a trance. He was so weak that he found himself bound by vines. Unable to move, even with very little chakra left in the body, let alone being able to mobilize. However, after 3 days and 3 nights of torture and humiliation in the world of Tsukuyomi, he suffered severe mental damage. It is no longer possible to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Kill me, Chenny Lu Ren. Looking at Chenny Lu Ren, who was too young but too terrifyingly powerful, his gaze contained a little resentment and unwillingness, but it was more decadent. The whole person seemed to have lost all energy. Full of despondency, with an air of twilight, he laughed at himself there. You must be very proud, you have successfully humiliated the old man. No. Looking at Danzo, who has been tortured to the point of collapse and lost his spirit, Lu Ren looked indifferently. Killing you is too cheap for you. Don't you like controlling people with distinguished heavenly gods? The corner of his mouth was raised, full of mockery. Then I'll let you see what it means to be bound by yourself. Danzo just used distinguished heavenly gods, and Shisui's eyes are not enough. But he is different. He has no shortage of pupil power. He who has obtained the pupil art of distinguished heavenly gods. Shisui's pupil power is just icing on the cake for him. It is also impossible for him to directly activate the Rinnegan. No, you fool. Heard the words. Danzo's weak gaze could not help shrinking suddenly. With fright, anger and unwillingness, even more despair, wanting to struggle. Let him. Shimura Danzo be possessed by an imp, he would rather die. In Lu Ren's scarlet right eye, the complicated Mangekyo pattern suddenly turned. Next, you can experience the strongest illusion of distinguished heavenly gods for yourself. Terrifying pupil power. In an instant, Danzo's brain was forcibly invaded, and his will was permanently and completely changed. Distinguished heavenly gods, forever loyal to Chenny Lu Ren. Master Lu Ren. All of a sudden, Danzo was struggling desperately, full of unwillingness and despair. That ferocious expression became milder. No more struggling. However, he was mentally traumatized. After all, he couldn't hold it anymore and passed out. Thump. The vines shrunk back and let go of each other. But Danzo's blood-soaked body fell there powerlessly. Did you pass out? Lu Ren was not surprised. Straight from that bloody right arm, a Sharingan was dug out. It was deftly implanted in Danzo's bloody right eye socket. Palm, braving a soft green light. Treating it. This is to avoid being discovered by the other rude members that Danzo has lost Shisui's eyes, thus suspecting that the leader has been controlled by him. Anyway, for him who now has the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Only by plundering the pupil power of the Mangekyo Sharingan level can the effect of increasing be achieved. Ordinary 3-tomo Sharingan, optional. Seeing that the battle was over, Tsunade came over. Seeing that Lu Ren was treating Danzo, she was surprised and asked, not only are you not going to kill him, but you also want to treat him. Although the time spent with Lu Ren is not long enough. But she has gradually understood Lu Ren's character. This little guy who can be so ruthless to himself in order to practice physical skills. It's not a soft-hearted person. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to infiltrate the Uchiha clan directly that night. Gouging eyes straight out of those Uchiha corpses. It's easy to kill him, but it's too cheap. After closing the Mangekyo Sharingan, Lu Ren shrugged. Besides, before you, Sister Tsunade, are ready for a showdown with the high-level Konoha, it will be troublesome to kill him, so let him be used by us. He doesn't kill Shimura Danzo, the most important point. In fact, I am not really afraid of causing trouble, let alone whether the senior management such as Third Hokage will be held accountable or something. The main reason is not sure. Will someone use the forbidden technique Impure World Reincarnation developed by second Hokage to summon this guy again? Even if he can directly destroy the opponent's body. It's also unclear what other flesh and blood this guy has left in Root Base or Orochimaru. If such a lion majesty is really hiding in the dark, always lurking and trying to make trouble. Although it doesn't make him afraid, it has to be said that it is really disgusting. By controlling it in this way, it can be done once and for all. It can also control the Root organization in disguise. Root will be the sharpest knife in his hand. Special barrel Konoha Tall Heart. Moreover, mastered the chess piece Danzo. Those forbidden techniques and secret techniques collected by Konoha, as well as some experience, insights, related notes and letters left by second Hokage who developed forbidden technique during his lifetime, and even the secret techniques of other families in the village. It's like something in his pocket. It will undoubtedly save a lot of effort. In the final analysis, after the use value of Danzo is drained and the Bagan organization takes over. It's time to keep it or kill it. It's all in his mind. Are you sure there is no problem? Tsunade was not without doubts. Don't worry about this. Through Shisui's eyes, I have obtained the pupil art of distinguished heavenly gods. Ported Sharingan for Danzo. Lu Ren withdrew his palm and said confidently, with my current pupil power, if he wants to get out of control, I think the only way to try is death. He remembered correctly. Distinguished heavenly gods is an ability that is effective for the dead. Theoretically speaking, it acts on the soul and consciousness, and you can't get rid of it even after you die. He wasn't sure if the influence of the distinguished heavenly gods would still be effective if Danzo's Impure World Reincarnation was reincarnated after Danzo died. But not ready to try either. Of course, the left eye that belongs to Shisui in Uchiha Itachi's hand may be able to be reversed. However, Uchiha Itachi, who has no first-generation cells, keeps the distinguished heavenly gods, which are equivalent to only one use for him, and are used to prevent his younger brother Uchiha Sasuke from leaving the road he paved for him. Obviously impossible to do that. Fair enough. Tsunade nodded. She is determined to train Lu Ren into Hokage. With the roots of Danzo, it will be easier for Lu Ren to grasp the power of Konoha when the time comes. After all, politics is very complicated. Some things cannot be settled by force alone. A coup to seize power, direct assassination of opponents in order to gain power, it is better not to do it as much as possible. Once a bad start is made, it will be very troublesome in the future. She also doesn't want Lu Ren to turn into a corrupt politician who is insensitive and only has power in his eyes like Konoha's high-level officials in the future. Hehe. Hearing what Tsunade said, Lu Ren laughed without saying a word. He never thought of being a Hokage. He's only interested in being the 5th Hokage man. Of course, targeting the man of 5th Mizukage is not bad either. Sister Tsunade, Gen's people are here, and I will trouble you to perform gong. He had already sensed several familiar chakras approaching quickly. Not surprisingly, it should be a member of the Root organization. Because these years when I was in Konoha, more than once he sensed these people following Danzo. So something familiar. Whizzing. I do not know how long it has been. A member of the Mingan organization arrived one after another. Looking at Tsunade and Chenny Lu Ren who were standing there, and Shimura Danzo who was lying there, covered in blood and miserable, all of them could not help but change their expressions. He rushed up quickly, checking Danzo's situation there. After discovering that he was still alive, they couldn't help heaving a sigh of relief. Heaven and man. How dare you hurt Lord Danzo like this? Looking at the unscathed Tsunade and Lu Ren. Their faces were ashen, full of hostility and vigilance. There is a tendency to rush directly to avenge Shimura Danzo. Only by you. Tsunade's face was frosty, looking at these rude members with disdain. He stomped his feet unceremoniously. Stop being self-righteous, root waste. Boom. There was a loud bang. The whole earth roared endlessly. Rocks splashed and smoke and dust flew up. Crack, click. A huge crack rushed out, almost swallowing those rude members. It made their faces change drastically, and they hurriedly retreated with the unconscious Shimura Danzo, keeping a distance. Gulu. Is this the strength of Sanin? It's too exaggerated. Look at the huge crack that is too exaggerated. A member of Nagin couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat, and looked at Tsunade full of fear. Obviously, Princess Konoha, who was rumored to suffer from hemophobia unfortunately, was not affected by freshness at all. Looking at Danzo's miserable appearance, and the messy scene around him, they can fully imagine how fierce the battle will be. People are not dead yet. Tsunade folded her arms. The green robe with the big word, gambling, written on it, is windy. Looking down at these rude members, he said coldly, if Shimura Danzo wakes up, remember to tell him, this time, I will spare his life, there will be no next time. Talking, she took Lu Ren who didn't speak, and turned to leave. The imposing back made those rude members dare not move rashly at all. Before I knew it, my back was already drenched with sweat. Sister Tsunade, you were too hockey just now. Left the battlefield. Lu Ren gave Tsunade a thumbs up. Hey, no matter how I say it, I'm still the master. Tsunade held his head high and proudly said, you still have a lot to learn. However, after such a fierce battle, can you still hold on? Looking at Lu Ren who seemed not at all tired, she asked with some concern. Tab, Lu Ren said with a smile, in the forest, I am invincible. Fight with Danzo. It seems that they are confined to the area with a radius of hundreds of meters. But in fact, the entire huge forest is his help. Because he can quietly extract the essence from the roots of other big trees in the forest from the ground to supplement himself. He believed it, and gave himself some more time. In the future, it may not be possible to directly resemble the sacred tree planted by the Otsutsuki family. Unlimited extraction of natural energy for your own use. And the sage mode he developed by himself is powerful by virtue of the specialness of the Logia sensen fruit. But the amount of its own chakra is limited after all, which limits the total amount of Shanshu chakra in disguise. And, after the battle just now, I suddenly had a new idea. Lu Ren touched his chin and said, oh, Tsunade looked at Lu Ren in surprise. Ordinary wood clone, the target is too big. Lu Ren didn't hide anything, and said with a smile, I think we can try to develop a small wood clone ninjutsu that is small in size but has the same strength as wood clone. In this way, combined with my own abilities, I can silently create a large number of clones from the ground and even trees, and let them be distributed directly to the entire battlefield. At that time, they can attack the enemy unexpectedly from any position and any angle. Although just in the fight with Danzo, even if it wasn't Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil art, he didn't go all out. What he longed for was the kind of truly evenly matched, carefree battle. But anyway, it was the first real battle in my life. Still let him have a lot of gains. That's a good idea. Tsunade heard the words. The eyes could not help but brighten up. She is very clear about Lu Ren. His avatar already possesses part of the ability of the main body. It can sneak quietly from the ground and even trees, making it difficult for people to detect. If it is possible to create a smaller wood clone, it will be quietly scattered on the battlefield. That is definitely an enemy's nightmare. Tisk tisk, how did your head grow? Tsunade stroked Lu Ren's head. Eyes full of smiles, eyes full of pride and pride. This is the descendant of their Senju clan, and even her disciple of Tsunade-ji. And what Lu Ren is good at is not only wood-style ninjutsu. The Uchiha family has been in the ninja world for an unknown number of years. With Sharingan's amazing ability to directly copy ninjutsu from others. There are countless ninjutsu and secret techniques collected over the years. And Lu Ren just has all the attributes of chakra, and her ninjutsu talent is even more outrageous, which made her a little dumbfounded. None need to be replicated with Sharingan. He even learned a lot of ninjutsu. It is those advanced ninjutsu and secret techniques. It doesn't bother him at all. Quick to master. If these ninjutsu are performed with the mini wood clone, it's simply impossible to guard against. Master Tsunade, Lu Ren. At this time, in the forest ahead, I saw Shizune and Dolphin, one person and one pig, running towards them. As the battle over, seeing that Lu Ren and Tsunade were both unscathed and relaxed, as if they had experienced a fierce battle at all, Shizune was a little surprised and inexplicable. Well, Lu Ren has already solved it. Tsunade shrugged, we can go on. Ow, so fast. Shizune froze. Some asked curiously, where's the leader of the route, Danzo? According to Lu Ren's previous introduction, that's a pretty tough guy. Moreover, there is a forbidden technique like Izanagi. Even transplanted the eyes of Uchiha Shisui, that is Mangekyo Sharingan. Could it be that the other party didn't make a move and retreated directly? Well, next, he'll calm down. Half a month passed by in a hurry. The battle in the forest outside the capital of the Kingdom of Fire caused quite a commotion. But this has nothing to do with Lu Ren and the others. The three masters and apprentices continued to travel around the ninja world. During the period, after receiving relevant reports, third Hokage, who vaguely felt that it might be related to Tsunade, Sanin, specially sent Anbu to inquire about the situation but was sent back by Tsunade unceremoniously. This matter, then let it go. In a lush forest, I saw a blue chakra ball condensed in the palm of Lu Ren. Countless chakra lines are twirling wildly and entangled irregularly. Sustained by himself, pressed against the tree trunk in front of him. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it was directly crushed in. The whole tree wailed. Quack fell. I just told you about some ideas about 4th Hokage when they developed Rasengan, and you actually mastered it. Witnessed this scene. Tsunade didn't know what to say anymore. 4th Hokage spent 3 years developing the A-level Muji Jutsu. In this way, it was easily grasped by Lu Ren. Also, Tsunade himself didn't master the Rasengan at all. It was only when discussing ninjutsu with Lu Ren, a disciple, that he talked about Rasengan, the Muji ninjutsu developed by 4th Hokage. As a result, Lu Ren faced her and Shizune directly. After several simple attempts, it was easily reproduced successfully. It's amazing. This is the A-level ninjutsu developed by 4th Hokage after a long time. Shizune beside him couldn't help but marvel. The talent of this junior. She asked herself to have overestimated as much as possible. But in the end, Shizune found that he still underestimated the other party. The point is that Tsunade himself has never learned Rasengan, and even only has a half knowledge of this technique, and told Lu Ren its characteristics. As a result, Lu Ren really directly grasped it. This makes people a little unbelievable. What's this? Rasengan scattered palms. Lu Ren, who easily mastered this technique, chuckled and said, "Concentrate the chakra on your hand, make the chakra flow in different directions and compress it, forming a high rotational density." Chakra ball. He had studied Rasengan, superhuman precision chakra control, even without training with water polo, rubber ball, etc., it has been easily mastered. Today, I just took this opportunity to let Tsunade and others see it. It is justifiable to show it. With my chakra control, it is really not too easy to achieve this level. Talking, Lu Ren raised his hands. 10 fingers turned into vines, for example, like this. In the dull eyes of Tsunade and Shizune, I saw the ends of the vines that couldn't stop dancing. One after another, the brilliant blue chakra balls condense out at a speed visible to the naked eye. It is constantly rotating and compressing at high speed. The scene is shocking. Now, far away in Konoha village, in a hidden underground base, Master Danzo, you finally woke up. A medical ninja in charge of care and root members. Looking at Shimura Danzo who woke up, they couldn't help but be overjoyed and relieved. How long have I been asleep? Danzo stared blankly. I just felt dizzy in my head and numb all over. It's been almost half a month. A root Jonin, headed by Kaido, was busy there. Your arm has spliced back. But after careful inspection, we found that apart from those traumatic injuries, your spirit seems to have been severely traumatized, so you have been unconscious. What's going on? Another root member reported the situation and couldn't help but ask, is that Tsunade's strength really so terrible? Tsunade. Danzo raised an eyebrow. A look of disdain flashed in his eyes. That woman is no threat to him, Shimura Danzo. Before he passed out, Lu Ren used Tsukuyomi to leave him some instructions. Therefore, Danzo didn't mean to say more, but said calmly, that woman is really not simple, she is indeed the granddaughter of 1st Hokage, I underestimated her. Bring everyone back and stop spying on Tsunade from today on. Yes, Lord Danzo, although full of doubts, but obviously no one dared to question Danzo's order. You all go out, I want to be quiet. Looking at the white ceiling, Danzo spoke calmly. Yes. The medical staff present and the root members looked at each other in blank dismay. But he still chose to obey. They retreated one after another. Old man, is it really wrong? Danzo's eyes are dark. There, he muttered to himself. Sarutobi Hiruzen, am I really inferior to you, Shimura Danzo? And not just because of the influence of the distinguished heavenly gods. In the world of Tsukuyomi, the unbearable experience caused him to have a mental breakdown. And thus began to have self-doubt. Start self-examination of past actions and persistence. The extremely uncomfortable ominous aura that was present on weekdays had disappeared. He had already been tortured and humiliated to the point of losing his vigor, and he was full of old age. Surprisingly, not as decadent as before. Perhaps, the old man is really wrong, but Konoha's decline over the years is not caused by your weakness and incompetence, third Hokage. 0. Hiruzen, you are old, and you no longer have the old name of Ninjao. He glanced at his left arm that was connected back. Danzo clenched his fists tightly, his eyes gradually turned firm. As if from the boundless night. Be led by the light that suddenly appeared. Seeing the direction ahead, there is no confusion at all. There was indescribable fanaticism and anticipation in his eyes. Let my rotten tree roots burn, and add some warmth to the endless fire of leaves. Master Lu Ren, I believe that you are the man who can bring about changes in the ninja world. An old, weak third Hokage. It is no longer suitable to continue to lead Konoha. What he has to do is to pave the way for that man and remove all obstacles before he officially returns. Distinguished heavenly gods, of course, is an illusion that can directly forcibly modify the will of others. However, strictly speaking, it does not directly change a person's character. At least, Lu Ren just made Shimura Danzo allegiance to him. But it did not directly instruct the other party on what to do next. However, in the eyes of Shimura Danzo, his previous insistence may be wrong. But third Hokage, who always thinks that he is weak and incompetent, has never been a qualified Hokage. Konoha needs a younger, stronger and more capable leader. Lead them to open up the future. End this endless chaos and bring real peace to the ninja world. Create a new era. Come on. After a few days, the country of grass, the outskirts of Hidden Grass Village. A thatched cottage that is far away from the interior of Kalyan Village is located there alone. A tired, pale red-haired woman, followed by a bald man with a fierce face and wearing Kalyan Village's forehead protector, returned from the inner circle of Kalyan Village. Women are very weak. He staggers a bit when he walks, as if he might fall at any time. But with faith, strong support. What makes one's scalp tingle is that her arms and even her neck are full of shocking bite marks. But the bald man next to him was extremely indifferent, and he didn't even bother to reach out to help him. The woman's weakness is completely ignored and turned a blind eye. It seems that he doesn't care about his life or death at all. Mother. At this time, a red-haired girl who was only 7 or 8 years old and wearing glasses heard the movement, hurriedly trotted out from the thatched cottage, and greeted Xianglin. On the woman's pale face, a gleam of light flashed in her slightly dim eyes. He hugged the little girl with red hair. This is the reward for your hard work today, rest well. The bald man threw down 2 pieces of bread. Looking at the frail red-haired woman, she was full of arrogance, and said indifferently, the battle on the front line is getting more and more intense, and we need your ability to continue treating the wounded in Kalyan Village tomorrow. Wait, Mom is so tired, why don't you let Mom take a rest? The red-haired girl was very dissatisfied. His eyes were filled with tears, and he was touching his fist there. Want to argue? Xianglin, don't talk nonsense. The red-haired woman comforts her daughter. Picking up the few pieces of bread, he replied in a low voice, yes, I understand, my lord. You who lost your homeland were originally refugees who were not even as good as beggars, and you didn't even have the qualifications to survive. The bald man said coldly, since our Kalyan village has taken in your mother and daughter, then you should work hard and repay us. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. Finished. Men stop talking nonsense. Just leave. Mother. Looking at the mother who was obviously very tired, but tried her best to pretend to be okay. The girl pursed her lips, with tears in her eyes, if you continue like this, you will die. Don't worry, Mom can hold on. The red-haired woman comforted her daughter. As long as I work hard for them, then we can join Kalyan village and become one of them, instead of living outside the village. Hey, be hungry, eat quickly. Looking at her daughter, the woman showed a slight smile. Break one of the pieces of bread in half, leaving only a shake for myself. Give the rest to your daughter. The target, are they? In the distant forest, several figures appeared quietly. I don't know how long I have been observing secretly there. Can't go wrong. That fiery red hair should belong to the Uzumaki clan. The bite marks all over her body are really miserable. The chakra of the Uzumaki clan can heal injuries for themselves or others. Those guys in Kalyan village took their mother and daughter in, probably because of the special abilities of the Uzumaki clan. It's not that those guys in Kalyan village are ignorant, but that they don't have excellent medical ninjas at all, so they just treat this woman as a raised medicine man. That girl should have the same physique as her mother. However, the vitality of the Uzumaki family is really strong. The woman kept overdrawing her own chakra to treat the wounded in Kalyan village, and she can survive until now. Don't worry about it, Danzo-sama has orders to bring them back to Konoha. All of a sudden, seeing that the ninja in Kalyan village has left, confirmed that no one is watching. Whoosh, several black shadows flew out directly. Suddenly appeared in front of Shonglin's mother and daughter. The red-haired woman's complexion changed. But before he could finish speaking, he and his daughter both lost consciousness and fell into a coma. Using illusion to bring down the two mother and daughter. Members of the root organization did not procrastinate. Take them with you and head quietly away from Kalyan village. And at this moment, within the territory of the Land of Fire, outside a certain village. Lu Ren, who followed Tsunade and Shizune on their way unhurriedly, paused. Surprised to look to the northwest direction. What's wrong, Lu Ren? Lu Ren closed his eyes to perceive for a moment. Pointing to the northwest direction, he said directly to Tsunade and Shizune, about 20 or 30 miles away, there is a very powerful chakra, but it seems to be very unstable and a little weak. That direction, looking in the direction Lu Ren pointed. A villager who happened to pass by next to him couldn't help but change his face when he saw this. Busy there reminded loudly, you guys, are you foreigners? Don't go there. Shizune asked curiously. Uncle, is there a problem? About 20 miles away, there is a ruin called Shuzuki Castle, which was breached by the enemy decades ago, and its lord, Shuzuki Gosa, committed suicide. There still exists the castle where the lord of Shuzuki lived. The villager recalled something, full of fear and panic, and said in a deep voice, but it is said that he left a curse before his death, and it has become a ghost town. Over the years, many people have tried to break into the castle to find the treasure left by the Lord of Shusaki, but no one has ever come out alive. Oh, Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Shuzuki Castle, curse. Shizune holding a dolphin, subconsciously shrank his neck. And Lu Ren at the side suddenly realized. Unexpectedly, I and others came to the vicinity of Shuki Castle by mistake. No wonder there is such a strong chakra reaction. He could remember that the lord of Shuzuki City, Shuzuki Gangzo, saw that he could not resist the enemy's attack, and expected the end of failure. Before he died, he did not hesitate to use the summoning technique to summon his own summoning beast. Use secret techniques to integrate it with the castle and devour any life that breaks in. But his has been decades past. The summoning beast has been bound there by contract. It's almost running out of fuel. Lu Ren suggested. Then let's go there, Sister Tsunade. Although he signed the contract of Wetbone Forest. But you didn't say that you are not allowed to sign other contracts, did you? Moreover, the strength of that summoning beast is not weak, and its ability is very special. It is a rare illusion-type summoning beast. Maybe it's still a relatively powerful group of summoning beasts. Even if he doesn't need such a summoning beast to fight, he can leave it to Tiantian, Ino and others. Okay, then go and have a look. Artists are bold. Tsunade is naturally not afraid of any curse. Moreover, as Lu Ren just said, there is quite a strong chakra over there. It should be the origin of the so-called ghost town. Woo-hoo-hoo. A cool breeze blew by. Even in the middle of the day, Shizune and Tango couldn't help shivering. I just feel gloomy. There is still a gray mist shrouded in the front. There are ruins, dilapidated rubble and wreckage everywhere. This is it. Looking around, Lu Ren laughed. But Sister Tsunade, the chakra fluctuation just now suddenly disappeared, I can't feel it at all. He was a little surprised. The summoning beast that was bound here by contract certainly hasn't disappeared. However, apart from being able to perceive its existence at the beginning, it disappeared out of thin air in a short period of time. Yeah, Tsunade frowned. She is well aware of how powerful Lu Ren's perception is. Even if you are 10 kilometers or even 20 kilometers away, you can easily perceive the chakra of others. Leading the way in front, said in a deep voice, "Since everyone is here, let's go and have a look first." Did someone come here just now? You sensed it, Lu Ren, but left suddenly. Shizune guessed, and hurriedly followed with Dolphin. Soon, an ancient castle appeared in front of the three of them. Brush. A pair of eyes became scarlet. Lu Ren, who had activated the 3 Tomo Sharingan, looked at the castle in front of him, and was a little surprised. Even the Sharingan can't see through it, and its chakra fluctuations can't be felt at all. Such a concealment ability is indeed amazing. He remembered that even the white eyes of the Hyuga clan couldn't detect the abnormality. Ordinary Sharingan, it's not enough to be a minister if he can't find out. Think here. Lu Ren didn't hesitate. The eyes have changed again, into a cool Mangekyo pattern. Sure enough, within Lu Ren's vision, the dilapidated castle in front of him changed instantly. With the amazing insight of Mangekyo Sharingan, Lu Ren saw through the disguise directly. Where is that castle? It's basically a huge summoning beast. It was transformed from a giant white lizard. Lu Ren, did you find anything? Shizune asked hurriedly. Well, this is a giant lizard. It turned into a castle, so anyone who breaks in will be swallowed by it, and naturally it is impossible to come out alive. Lu Ren didn't hide it, and said directly, it should have a strong concealment ability, even chakra fluctuations can be completely hidden. Just now, it is very likely that someone broke into it, it was eating, or something, so I suddenly felt a chakra fluctuation. Oh, I heard Lu Ren say that. Tsunade was also a little surprised. It should be very weak, trapped here by the summoning contract. Observing the state of this summoning beast, Lu Ren shrugged. No accident, in a few years, it should be oily. All the lights have dried up. Sister Tsunade, such a special summoning beast, why don't you try to subdue it? Lu Ren proposed to Tsunade. The hidden ability of this lizard. Absolutely second Tsuchikage. No such level. No matter whether it's ordinary white eyes or Sharingan, they can't find any flaws. If he hadn't had foresight, he wouldn't even have opened the Mangekyo Sharingan observation. Boys, I really like the hockey-like summoning beast. Shizune felt helpless. Can't help persuading there, but Lu Ren, you have already signed the contract of the Wet Bone Forest. Although Katsuyu Immortal is very talkative, is it not good to do so? As she spoke, she looked at Tsunade. You boy. Looking at Lu Ren who was eager to try, Tsunade was also a little speechless. It's okay, even if I don't need it, I can leave it to Sister Hong, Ino, Tien Tien and the others. Lu Ren said with a smile. In terms of his ability, there is really no need for such a summoning beast. But it cannot be denied that this large lizard really suits his taste. I remember it was called Chubbing Wan, right? There is also a contractor named Masashi Kishimoto. Hearing what Lu Ren said, Shizune was speechless. The dolphin in his arms yelled, Dog, dolphin. There shouldn't be any complaints from the live slug, you can figure it out. Tsunade folded his arms and said casually. Hearing that it was a castle transformed into a summoning beast, she had no intention of going in to explore it. Belly of a summoning beast, what's there to explore? She has seen Jiraiya, a wild ghost, who is also one of the Sannin, directly summon the stomach of the giant toad of Mount Myoboku to trap the enemy. It is estimated that the situation inside the castle is similar. Although it would not make her feel sick to a medical ninja who is used to various scenes. But there's no need to make yourself uncomfortable. With Tsunade's permission, Lu Ren stepped forward directly. A pair of scarlet Mangekyo Sharingan, without concealing their aura, exudes a powerful deterrent. Stop pretending, I know this castle was transformed by you. Roar. It seems to have sensed the strength of the coming person. Inside the gloomy castle, there was a beast roar. You shouldn't last long, right? Lu Ren folded his arms and said directly, I can liberate you, but you need to sign a summoning contract with me. Roar. If you don't speak, I'll take it as if you agreed. Roar. Soon, under the gaze of Tsunade and Shizune with black lines all over their heads. Even the summoning beast felt that the other party had a strong strength that didn't match its age, and it already showed that it was willing to give it a chance. As long as it passed the test, it was willing to let it sign a contract. But Lu Ren had no intention of going in by himself. Being lazy, he directly separated several wood clone and let them break into the castle. The summoning beast seemed irritated by Lu Ren's slighting behavior. Lu Ren's wood clone just broke into the castle. Several pitch-black passages appeared in front of them, apparently to lead them to different places and break through each one. To force Lu Ren's body, he had to come in and accept the test in person. But these wood clone with some strength of Lu Ren are naturally not afraid. Without hesitation, they scattered one by one, each choosing to break into a passage. Scrub. In each passage, the surrounding walls suddenly changed. It turned into a scalp-numbing flesh wall, wriggling uncontrollably. A large number of tentacles appeared one after another. Crazy attack to those wood clone. However, wood clone is also not to be outdone, compared to tentacles. We have never lost. A large number of wooden vines gushed out, constantly attacking those tentacles. Even, in turn, entangle those tentacles and devour their chakra. The summoning beast had to disconnect those tentacles to prevent chakra from being sucked dry directly. The traps set are constantly broken by these avatars. If it's not that he doesn't want to kill the summoning beast, Lu Ren can suck it dry with just one wood style. After all, even the tailed beast with a huge chakra couldn't stop the wooden dragon technique, and was suppressed to death. Not to mention this summoning beast who was already very weak and was about to run out of fuel. Soon, a giant scroll of summoning. He was brought out by wood clone and brought in front of Lu Ren. Brush. Under the gaze of Tsunade and Shizune. Lu Ren opened the summoning scroll. Sure enough, before the previous contractor, Suzuki Gozawa. A name caught Lu Ren's eyes, making the corners of his mouth twitch. Masashi Kishimoto. Master Lu Ren. After Lu Ren signed his name. The big white lizard that turned into a castle made its own voice. My name is Chubingmaru, and I am the patriarch of the lizard clan. It is a great honor to conclude a contract with a strong man like you. So polite to see this summoning beast. Not at all as draggy as Mount Myoboku's Toadbunta or Raichi Cave's 10,000 snakes. Lu Ren couldn't help feeling a lot of good feelings. Zongbingwan, right. If it's the kind of summoning beast with its nostrils upturned, he doesn't mind giving it a lesson. He directly asked, next, how can I liberate you? That's no ordinary summoning technique. A special method is required to terminate the contract. Otherwise, the former contractor Shuzuki Tsuyoshi has been dead for so long, no matter how loyal he is, Zongxian should have gone back by himself after decades. You just need to form the 6 seals Yanxizi Yuwei in order. Zongbingmaru responded there. The spell left by the previous contractor can be lifted. Quote. It just spoke. Lu Ren has completed the printing in accordance with the order. Untie. Roar. The old castle shakes. A violent hurricane swept through. A huge, exaggerated white lizard appeared in front of Tsunade and Shizune. With such a body shape, it is more than enough to swallow that guy Toadbunta. Touching his chin, Tsunade commented, the giant toad summoned by Jiraiya is probably about the same size as it. Of course, big size does not necessarily mean combat power. Although it is said that this big lizard was in its heyday, its strength must not be much weaker. Just Mount Myoboku is one of the 3 ancient summoning beast shrines. There is a complete inheritance in the clan, and its background is not a joke. Toadbunta's strength is not the strongest among the Toad clan in Mount Myoboku. And this giant lizard is probably already one of the strongest in the summoning lizard family. Master Lu Ren, thank you very much for your help. Chubaimaru was talking there. An extremely long and huge tongue suddenly poked it out. It grabbed the summoning contract that Lu Ren had just signed, and swallowed it. Its hoarse voice echoed constantly in this ancient ruins. I need to return to the clan of the lizard clan. If necessary, you can summon me or other lizards in the clan at any time. Finished. It's weak. It has already turned into a huge smoke and disappeared. What a rewarding day. Lu Ren smiled. The summoning contract of the lizard clan. For him, it is obviously still very useful. The way to hide Chakra's breath, he was very interested. If you have time, go back and study the quilt. Indeed, Tsunade nodded. Chubaimaru's excellent hiding ability before was really astonishing. Even ordinary Sharingan couldn't find anything abnormal. Even Lu Ren's excellent perception ability. None could perceive it. If this is on the battlefield, undoubtedly it can play a huge role. Congratulations, Lu Ren, Shizune said with a smile. She also has a contract with Wetbone Forest, so there is no need for other summoning beasts. It's just that she has limited abilities, and she can't directly summon live output of the same size as Toad Bunta and Wan. What Lu Ren was going to say just now. He raised his eyebrows suddenly and looked into the distance in surprise. The familiar chakra made him chuckle. Are there any more acquaintances here? Roots, Shizune, who was hugging Tonto, couldn't help saying angrily, those guys really linger. Lu Ren, your technique won't fail, will it? Tsunade frowned and asked there. If that's the case, it will be troublesome. No, Danzo doesn't have that ability yet. Lu Ren shrugged. I don't think they're here for us, otherwise they wouldn't send so many people. He found that except those rude members, there are also two strange chakra. He probably already guessed what was going on. Because, before Danzo lost consciousness, he once gave some instructions to the other party through Tsukuyomi. One is to ask him to send someone to Kalyan village to find Xionglin's mother and daughter, and bring them back to Konoha for resettlement. The second is to let him search for the city of Uzumaki that was destroyed 50 years ago, and find its summoning contract from the castle transformed by the summoning beast. Third, let him collect and organize the root tissue, and even the related secret techniques, forbidden technique, sealing technique, etc. that Konoha has collected over the years. When he needs it, he will directly send his avatar to fetch it. But unexpectedly, Danzo directly assigned the first two tasks to the dispatched personnel. And myself, Tsunade, Shizune and the others accidentally ran into the vicinity of Uzumaki Castle, and happened to sense some of the chakra leaked out when Chubaimaru was eating. Get the summoning contract first and free the giant lizard. Have to say, this made him a little speechless. Have people got ahead of themselves? Is Tsunade them one of the Sanin? Get out, soon. Several black figures appeared in the distance. But when they saw Tsunade and Lu Ren, their faces changed. Without hesitation, he turned around and was about to evacuate. They don't know Lu Ren's true strength, let alone what happened that day. Subconsciously, he believed that the culprit who almost killed their root leader Shimura Danzo not long ago was the famous medical master with unfathomable strength in the ninja world. Now, Tsunade, the Hidan Sanin, seems to have become one of the most feared targets of the root organization. In particular, their leader once ordered that all the staff of Genjin should not provoke Tsunade, the three masters and apprentices. Even if there is a conflict of objectives in the task can be abandoned directly. And not held accountable for the failure of its mission. They naturally wanted to run when they saw Tsunade, etc. It was noticed that these root members were actually carrying two unconscious females. What's more, Ri Yinxiao is all characterized by bright red hair. Let Tsunade directly have doubts. He called out to them without hesitation. She pointed to the two women who were suspected to belong to the Uzumaki clan, and asked coldly, who are those two people you brought with you? What? Heard the words. The face of the root member changed. Strong vigilance arose. Unexpectedly, Tsunade noticed the mother and daughter of the Uzumaki clan. Master Tsunade, these two are the surviving remnants of the Uzumaki clan, we rescued them from Hidden Grass Village. The leader Gen Jonin's complexion changed, but he still had to bite the bullet and respond. Because of their special chakra, they were treated by Kalyan village as a holy medicine for healing Mo de Jiao. If there is no accident, their end will not be very good. Because the Uzumaki clan was Konoha's allies in the past, we are going to bring them back to Konoha for training. Naturally, they would not directly say that it was Danzo's order. The members of the root organization were all cursed by Danzo, and they could not reveal any information about his leader, otherwise they would be paralyzed and unable to move. The Uzumaki family. Shizune was inexplicably surprised. Grass Hidden Village. Healing holy medicine. Tsunade couldn't help frowning. Looking at the shocking bite marks on the unconscious young woman's arm. Her face was ashen, and she clenched her fists. Those guys in Kalyan village are really too much. Just looking at those bite marks makes the scalp tingle. There is no need for anyone to explain, but she has a lot of karma with the Uzumaki clan. Knowing about the special abilities of this clan, she can guess what the other party has experienced with her eyes closed. So, she didn't doubt whether Gen's people were lying. No nonsense, she said directly. Leave the person, you can go. Ah, this. Heard the words. The root members present couldn't help but change their colors. They looked at each other, a little hesitant. Although Danzo had ordered some time ago. If you encounter this Sanin medical master during the mission, once the mission goal conflicts, you can directly abandon the mission without holding them accountable. But that leaves the target of the mission to Tsunade. It must have been a little too aggrieved. I don't want to say it again. Tsunade got impatient. Although Danzo is controlled by Lu Ren. If Lu Ren personally ordered, Danzo, the root leader, would naturally not disobey. But knowing the style of Jen, she didn't believe what these guys said at all. Maybe, the mother and daughter were just sent from the wolf's den to the tiger's den, where they were trained to be emotionless killers. Didn't you hear? Lu Ren on the side looked calm, and said directly to the root members, leave him, you can go. But I was speechless. Originally, he just thought that Xionglan was a good seedling, so instead of being buried in Kaoyan village, he simply asked Danzo to send someone to take him to Konoha for cultivation. If there is still time, it would be better to avoid the unfortunate fate of his mother. Unexpectedly, they bumped into each other halfway, and Tsunade directly cut the beard. Pull, Shou-en. Seeing that Tsunade had a big disagreement, he wanted to do it. I know that Danzo, who has Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan and Uchiha Forbidden Technique Izanagi, is no opponent at all. For a moment, Gen Jonin, the leader, felt infinite pressure and broke out in a cold sweat. His complexion was cloudy and uncertain, and he hesitated again and again. Considering that the above should not be blamed, he decisively admitted. Let people send Xionglan's mother and daughter there. Let's retreat. His back was already soaked in cold sweat, and he led the other root members to retreat directly. Master Tsunade, they are under the illusion. Seeing the two lying on the ground, Shizune hurried forward. After checking, I was taken aback by the dense bite marks on the young woman's body. She was full of indignation. Those people are really too much. Untie. At the same time, the illusion was lifted for the two of them. Soon, Xionglan's mother and daughter woke up. But looking at the unfamiliar Tsunade, Shizune, and Lu Ren in front of them, they were all a little frightened. Don't be afraid, this is the land of fire. Tsunade comforted there, you are out of danger. However, the two mother and daughter embraced each other. Still looking at the three of them with some uneasiness. Your experience, we have heard. Tsunade sighed softly, and said, if you stay in Kaoyan village, your daughter's fate will only be the same as yours in the future. It is equivalent to being raised as a healing medicine. It is not a bad thing to leave there. The Uzumaki clan, distant relatives of the Senju clan. The two families have been close allies long ago. Back then, the Uzumaki clan rejected her grandfather first Hokage Senju Hashirama's invitation to co-create Konoha, and created Uzumaki Hidden Village in Uzumaki country. The former Uzumaki country is an ally of Konoha. Even Konoha's forehead protector pattern is derived from the symbol of the Uzumaki clan. However, because the Uzumaki family was born with a huge chakra and a powerful sealing technique, it has attracted the fear and covetousness of all parties. Back then, the country of Uzumaki was besieged by various countries, and once asked Konoha for help. At the beginning of the Second Ninja World War, Konoha is facing unprecedented challenges. Being besieged by the other 4 great ninja villages, which are also the 5 great ninja villages, the troops are somewhat stretched and powerless. Of course, the main reason is that 3rd Hokage and Shimura Danzo and other high-level leaders had differences of opinion, and they were unable to reach an agreement for a long time, resulting in missing the best time for rescue. 3rd Hokage is indecisive and hesitant. Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu looked on indifferently. But Shimura Danzo resolutely opposed it, and believed that the priority should be to concentrate troops and defeat the main force of Cloud Shinobi, who is the most threatening front line. It was too late when the high-level opinions were unified and people were sent for reinforcements. The country of the vortex was destroyed. The secret arts and sealing arts collected in the family were looted. The surviving Uzumaki people were also scattered all over the ninja world. Shimura Danzo, a gloomy, calculating guy, disagrees with 3rd Hokage. 9 times out of 10, they stubbornly believe that although the Uzumaki clan are allies in name, they do not belong to Konoha after all. Since it cannot be used by Konoha, there is no need to exist. So intentionally let it go. As a result, many surviving Uzumaki people. In fact, Konoha, who was once an ally of the Uzumaki clan, didn't have much affection for him, and even preferred to wander to other countries instead of the Land of Fire. Because the Uzumaki clan was wiped out at the beginning, Konoha was indeed treacherous. This incident also caused her grandma, Uzumaki Mito, who had maintained a youthful appearance through the Uzumaki family's secret technique, to be heartbroken, completely disappointed with the Konoha executives headed by third Hokage, and turned into a gray-haired woman overnight. Elder Uzumaki Mito, who was deeply saddened by the death of first Hokage, and persisted in protecting the Konoha left by his deceased husband, lost his spirit and couldn't stand it any longer. Not long after, Ninetales was pulled away on his own initiative. Enclosed in Uzumaki Kushina brought back from the Uzumaki country. Otherwise, born in the Uzumaki Aidd clan, which is known for its longevity, as the princess of the Uzumaki clan, she has the purest bloodline in the Uzumaki clan. How could her grandma, Uzumaki Mito, have died so early? This is Master Tsunade, one of the Sannin, granddaughter of first Hokage. Lu Ren smiled and said, maybe you don't know each other, but her grandma is Uzumaki Mito, who used to be the princess of Uzumaki. I think you may have heard of it. Are you Mito-sama's granddaughter? Karen's mother, Uzumaki Nanako, looked at Nacho in shock. When the country of Uzumaki was destroyed, as an ordinary member of the Uzumaki family, she was just a child who didn't understand anything. But I have also heard adults mention the deeds of first Hokage who married Konoha, the princess of Uzumaki Mito, the god of ninja, who pacified the troubled times. So I have some impressions. And Xionglan looked blankly at Lu Ren, Tsunade and others. I don't understand at all what is going on with the Uzumaki family they are talking about. Well, things in the country of the vortex were very complicated, and I can't explain clearly in a few words. Tsunade has a touch of nostalgia and sadness. Shaking his head, looking at Uzumaki and Nanako's mother and daughter who looked a little pale, they said, anyway, Grandma tried her best to rescue her, but unfortunately, she was hindered by a group of greedy and calculating guys. It didn't take long. It will end in frustration. Just follow us for the time being. If you are willing to settle down in Konoha, I will write you a letter of recommendation and hand it over to third Hokage. At least I will not be like you it's that bad in Hidden Grass Village. Speaking of which, she personally stepped forward to check the other person's physical condition. His face became extremely serious. He frowned. Master Tsunade, the two of them are very weak, and it's okay to say that they have been malnourished for a long time. Shizune, who had already been diagnosed, hesitated to speak. The key is that Uzumaki Nanako has overdrawn her own chakra for a long time to treat others. Her body was almost exhausted, and the situation was much worse than she had imagined. If it weren't for the fact that the vitality of the Uzumaki family is inherently strong, I'm afraid the other party would have been unable to hold on. It's okay, it's okay. If it's later, it will be really troublesome. Tsunade frowned, and said there. Although the situation is a bit bad, but it is just a little troublesome, and finally there is salvation. If she met the other party later, even she, a medical master, would not be able to revolving heaven. Thank you so much, Master Tsunade. Uzumaki Nanako is naturally not stupid. I also know that my mother and daughter have no choice at all right now. He hurriedly took his daughter Xionglan and bowed to Tsunade to thank her. Then Sister Tsunade, why don't we rest here for the night? Seeing this, Lu Ren said directly to Tsunade, it's just right, treat them. Also, Tsunade nodded. Wood-style four-pillar house technique. With Zongbing Wan being rescued. Originally, the gloomy mist disappeared. The sun shone in, and it was no longer so eerie. Looking around, Lu Ren has 3 babies in his right hand. Rumble, in the shocked and inexplicable eyes of Uzumaki Nanako and Karen, the mother and daughter. A wooden house that looks like a fine work of art suddenly bursts out of the ground. In a blink of an eye, it was located there. This is so amazing. The young Xionglan opened her mouth wide. His eyes widened, full of disbelief. This handsome boy who is only slightly older than himself. It turned out to be so powerful. Crackling, night fell. Under the moonlight, the ruins are somewhat desolate. The wooden house that sits there looks a little weird. In the open space in front of the wooden house, a bonfire was burning there. On it, there is a wild wolf that has been skinned, internal organs processed, and roasted golden. Golden oil drops. Is it falling? In the fire, it made a zzz sound. In the air, there is a tempting fragrance. Xiao Xianglin, who sat obediently and watched from the side, couldn't help swallowing. The stomach then made an unsatisfactory, cuckling sound. The little face was flushed red, and she turned her head a little shyly. Are you hungry, Xianglin? Flipping the roast wolf in front of him. Lu Ren tore off a piece of roasted wolf meat. A lotus leaf emerged from the palm, wrapping it. Sending it to Xianglin, she smiled and said, eat it. Be careful, it's hot. Tsunade and Shizune are in the wooden house, giving comprehensive examination and treatment to Uzumaki Nanako, who is very weak. Therefore, Lu Ren can only be responsible for the dinner. Ah, this. Xianglin was stunned, some at a loss. It was completely unexpected that the other party was the first to pass the barbecue to him. He stared blankly at Lu Ren, whose tone was full of gentleness and did not rely on his strength to be domineering at all, and there was no slightest contempt in his eyes. Not a tall figure, seems to be shining straight to his heart. Xianglin only felt that in this life, she would never forget that handsome and warm face. Thanks. Xianglin's nose is sour. Under the glasses, the red eyes became a little moist. From what she can remember to now, no stranger has ever treated her so well. Even in Kaoyan village, those people just regarded them as outsiders. Frequent cynicism, bossy, full of superior arrogance and contempt. You are such a nice person. She bites the delicious wolf meat. I just feel that the taste is unprecedented. It was the best food she had ever eaten in her life. But the tears flowed uncontrollably, and the whole person was sobbing uncontrollably. Lu Ren stroked Xianglin's small head and comforted slightly. I feel a little sad in my heart. This is really a worse world. Some people think that the leaves are rotten, and there is an unknown darkness hidden in the shadows under the sun. But in the eyes of many people, there is already a paradise they dream of, and they can't even imagine. There they can enjoy precious peace and security. Lu Ren, can you help make some porridge? Shizune poked his head out from the wooden house, and told Lu Ren there, Nanako's body is very weak, and she can't eat too greasy food yet, she needs to adjust slowly. Okay, leave it to me. Lu Ren responded with a smile. With pear blossoms on his face and rain on his face, he looked into the wooden house while holding the barbecue, and Xiangrin, who was a little worried, comforted, don't worry, Sister Tsunade is the leading medical master in the ninja world, your mother will be fine. Thank you all. Xianglin bit her lip and nodded with tears in her eyes. Holding the heavy barbecue, trying not to let the tears fall. But the teardrops still rolled down in disobedient strings. No one has ever been so kind to their mother and daughter. Those people in Kaoyan village kept saying to take them in. But every day her mother came back exhausted. The bite marks on the body are getting more and more day by day. No matter how tired you are, there is never a day to rest. Every day, you can only get a few pieces of bread. Sometimes, the bread is still sour. Under Xianglin's curious gaze, Lu Ren took out a scroll and opened it. Inside, there are strange spell symbols. Sealed with him. Boom. A burst of smoke filled the air. In Xianglin's surprised and inexplicable eyes. Rice, iron pot, seasoning. Out of nowhere, these are all removed from storage scrolls. Xianglin was full of surprise. But she was a little timid and didn't dare to make a sound. This is a storage scroll, which can store things in it. Lu Ren was a little curious when he saw her, obviously he had never seen it before, and explained there with a smile. Talking, he pointed with his right hand. A stream of clear water flowed out from the fingertips and fell into the iron pot. After washing the rice, put away the water. Immediately afterwards, Lu Ren stretched out his right hand and slapped the ground directly. Rumble. The ground trembled slightly. 2 to 30 centimeters high, earth walls, were formed on both sides of the palm. Formed a simple soil stove. Put the iron pan directly on top. From the nearby bonfire, a part of the burning wood was removed. Cooking porridge for Nanako. One set down, extremely skilled. Xiangrin watched without blinking her eyes. The small mouth is opened wide. I was taken aback for a while. Is this ninjutsu? Xianglin was shocked. Looking incredulously at Lu Ren, who was not much older than her, his eyes were filled with indescribable admiration, and this wooden house that suddenly appeared. You are amazing. It's nothing. Lu Ren touched her head and said with a smile, "My name is Chenny Lu Ren, you can call me Brother Lu Ren." Lu Ren, brother. Seeing Lu Ren is so kind, Xianglin gradually relaxed and was no longer so restrained. Want to learn? I'll teach you. Seeing her curiosity, Lu Ren said with a smile. Xianglin's eyes lit up, but she still asked timidly, "Really, is it okay? When you are full, I will teach you how to refine chakra. Pay attention to the heat of the rice porridge." Lu Ren tore off a piece of roast meat and took a bite. In the ninja world, chakra exists in everyone's body. 0, it's just that the vast majority of people don't know how to refine it on their own, and they don't know how to use it. Especially the Uzumaki clan, born with a powerful special chakra. Even an ordinary person like Uzumaki Nanako who has never learned any ninjutsu, and is not even a genin, can still heal other people's injuries by virtue of her inherently powerful chakra. This girl's aptitude is much better than senior sister Shizun's. Killing the grilled meat in front of him, Lu Ren was meditating there, should be able to perfectly inherit the mantle of Sister Tsunade. Originally, he wanted Danzo to take the mother and daughter to Konoha and place them there. Now that Tsunade cut off them, then it seems good if we can persuade Tsunade to accept Xiangrin as his disciple. After all, this girl has a rare ability among the Uzumaki clan, and her potential is unlimited. And in terms of chakra control, it is also quite good. Although Lu Ren is confident that he can master all of Tsunade's medical skills. But he is unwilling to be ordinary, and the future is destined not to be limited to the medical field. After all, he has been studying medical ninjutsu over the years. In addition to feeling that it is more practical, it's more about laying a solid foundation for my future development of other secret techniques and forbidden technique. Strictly speaking, he belongs to the kind of utilitarian egoist. There is no benevolence of doctors at all. In the future, I will wait until I learn to become a teacher. It is even more impossible to really spend too much time staying in the operating room of the hospital for 3 days and 2 days to treat those patients and injuries. Compared to him, Karen is more suitable to inherit Tsunade's mantle. Be a medical master who can truly save lives and heal the wounded. Chapter 71. The next day, early in the morning, Lu Ren got up for physical training and was sweating all over. In the astonished and inexplicable eyes of Uzumaki Nanako and Karen, the mother and daughter directly separated 5 wood clone technique. Throw a ninjutsu scroll to each wood clone. Let them practice various ninjutsu of a chakra attribute. Wind style wind cut, lightning style false darkness, earth style earth flow wall. Soon, the roar continued. Cool ninjutsu, colorful and eye-catching. The dilapidated ruins were bombarded indiscriminately, making them look bad. Amazing. Xianglin was shocked. Lu Ren, your chakra volume is getting exaggerated. Shizun on the side was a little surprised. 270, I thought you just let them practice chakra nature transformation, but I didn't expect to practice tolerance directly. I have perfectly mastered the nature transformation of the 5 chakras of wind, thunder, fire, water, and earth, and it doesn't make much sense to train them again. If you want to make further progress, you can only improve slowly in the process of practicing those ninjutsu or in fierce battles. Lu Ren shrugged. He looked at Tsunade, smiled and said, Sister Tsunade, let's start learning medical ninjutsu. Tsunade nodded. She has become numb to Lu Ren's exaggerated performance. This child is an evildoer who cannot be deduced by common sense. She can be sure that even first Hokage and Uchiha Madara, who were famous in the ninja world in the past and jointly quelled the troubled times, could never have such exaggerated strength at this age when they were young. He will be hanged and beaten directly by Lu Ren. Looking at Xianglin, who was full of admiration, he smiled and said to Shizun, Sister Shizun, if you are free, please teach Xianglin the basic 3-body technique. Her talent is very good. I just taught her the method of refining chakra and using it yesterday, and she mastered it very quickly. Have to say, Shannon is indeed a genius. Yesterday under the teaching of Lu Ren. After constant trial and error, chakra was quickly refined. Just turned 7 years old, as a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, although she can't compare with an evildoer like Lu Ren, her natural chakra is far beyond ordinary people. If you are willing to work hard, it's not too late. Oh, is it so? Shizun looked at Xiangrin in surprise, and nodded with a smile. then leave it to me. Really, that's great. Thank you so much. Xianglin was overjoyed. Seeing such gorgeous and cool ninjutsu, how could she not want to learn it? Although her face was still a little pale, Uzumaki Nanako, who was in a much better condition than yesterday after Tsunade's treatment, immediately felt happy for her daughter. After all, in this chaotic ninja world, only by mastering power can one survive well. There was no chance before. Now that someone is willing to teach Xianglin, she is too late to be happy. Nature will not stop it. Earth-style earth flow city wall. Soon, there was a huge commotion outside. Rumble. The whole ruins trembled violently. The earth was divided, suddenly breaking straight down the middle. Moreover, the terrain on the other side is suddenly rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, a huge earth wall hundreds of meters long was formed. Spectacular. Water-style Takatsubo technique. Almost at the same time, Lu Ren's other wood clone has already completed the seal. Halala. A large amount of water rushed out. Continuously, flowing down from above. Turned into a huge waterfall. Shocking. And the depression below the waterfall. At a speed visible to the naked eye, a huge water pool was formed. Fire-style Haolong fire technique. Is in charge of training fire-style's avatar, where the seals are flying. In the mouth, simmering fiery fire-style chakra. Spit violently. Call. A blazing flame flew out. It turned into a huge fire faucet, and the sky was dyed red. Waves of heat couldn't stop coming. Roar. The fire dragon roared there. He slammed into the water pool fiercely. Boom. The roiling heat wave hits open. The huge pool of water was bombed out of shape. The huge waterfall was almost broken, and the water inside was instantly evaporated mercilessly. The ground was scorched black and extremely dry and cracked. This shocking scene, not just the mother and daughter Uzumaki Nanako and Karen. Even Shizune, who knew about Lu Ren's strength, couldn't help being a little dumbfounded. Tisk tisk, your kid's progress is really fast. Inside the cabin, Tsunade is teaching Lu Ren related medical knowledge. Observe the scene through the window. She smiled lightly, and couldn't help but marvel. The 5 escape ninjutsu is becoming more and more proficient. I believe it won't be long before your accomplishments in 5 sense ninjutsu will surpass that old man 3rd Hokage. Yeah, Lu Ren looked as usual. But the tone is full of ridicule. I am still very interested in Hokage who surpasses the strongest of all ages. You boy. Tsunade couldn't laugh or cry. But I have to say that 3rd Hokage's face really made her a little speechless. He dared to write himself as the strongest Hokage in history on the textbook. It just makes people laugh out loud. I just don't know if you will be able to master the fairy art of the wet-bone forest in the future. It wasn't Tsunade who doubted Lu Ren's qualifications. It's that the fairy art requirements of the wet-bone forest are too pervert. Only the aloof temperament like her grandma Uzumaki Mido can master it. Is it magic? Lu Ren raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Sister Tsunade, I remember that in the wood-style scroll left by 1st Hokage at 0.0, there is indeed a forbidden technique at the level of immortality. His immortality originated from the wet-bone forest. For 1st Hokage that's the same as him, able to open in seconds. Coupled with its own huge chakra, it is equivalent to an immortal art with infinite battery life. He was indeed full of curiosity. No, 1st Hokage didn't sign the contract for the wet-bone forest, it was my grandma Uzumaki Mido who signed the contract for the wet-bone forest. Tsunade shook his head, and said directly, 1st Hokage's celestial art is based on the celestial art of the wet-bone forest and Mount Myoboku, improved and further perfected. She touched Lu Ren's head, full of expectations, and smiled and said, if it's you, maybe you can do it in the future. Lu Ren smiled without saying a word. Immortal art, he has always been able to do it. Time flies like an arrow. In a blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. Within the territory of the Kingdom of Fire. In a beautiful forest. A beautiful wooden house is located there. Aha! Tsunade yawned after washing up. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, he walked out of the cabin. 1992, 1993, 1994. Train there early in the morning. Lu Ren, already drenched in sweat, let out a long breath. With sharp eyes, he caught a glimpse of the beautiful figure who just came out, and greeted there, who? Good morning, Sister Tsunade. but still standing there with one hand up and down, can't help supporting, rising and falling. And on his upright feet, there are lead weights with an astonishing weight that are enough to make people jaw-dropping. Morning, Lu Ren. Tsunade gazed softly and nodded with a smile. In the past 2 years, she has long been familiar with the other party's training. The lead weights tied to Lu Ren's legs are not ordinary lead weights, they are unbelievably heavy. If it falls off directly, releasing it from a position as high as a person is enough to smash into a big hole in the ground. If ordinary people dare to act like this at such an age, Tien will probably cause irreversible damage to the body. Except for Lu Ren, he was born with a strong physique and an amazing recovery ability. Tsunade also agreed to let him carry out such long-term weight training after repeated inspections. Even, compared to Lu Ren's usual life-threatening gymnastics training, this kind of basic physical training is simply pediatrics. What a beautiful day. Looking at the blue sky and white clouds, Tsunade was in a good mood. Stretching a beautiful curve. Rubbing the shoulders that were inevitably sore due to the heavy pendant, he asked, "Where is Lu Ren, Shizun and Xianglin?" 2 years ago, under Lu Ren's suggestion, Xiangrin, who has shown excellent control over chakra, has been officially accepted as the third disciple by her who already has a lot of affection for the Uzumaki clan. Trip for 3. It became a foursome. And Karen's mother, Uzumaki Nanako. It was after traveling with them for 3 months and getting the body back to normal. Lu Ren asked his own wood clone to send it to Konoha, and arranged for him to live in his home. And took the recommendation letter that Tsunade gave him in advance, and found a job as an intern nurse at Konoha Hospital for the other party. Because there is Princess Konoha, Tsunade, as a guarantor. Uzumaki Nanako was only questioned by the intelligence department for details. After seeing that there was no problem, he was allowed to live in the trapped leaf. It wasn't too difficult. 1998.1999.2000. Lu Ren was sweating profusely and gasping for breath. Palm, a sudden force. It seems to be completely unaffected by the exaggerated weight on the feet. With a neat volley flip, the whole person stood there firmly. Shaking off his sweat, looking at the beautiful Tsunade, he smiled and said, "Early in the morning, senior sister Shizun took Xianglin to collect herbs. After 2 years, Tsunade hasn't changed much, still so beautiful. Years seem to be unable to leave the slightest trace on her body. But Lu Ren has grown from a cute little boy to a handsome young man. Although he has just turned 10 years old, he already has a height of 1.6 meters, which is not too exaggerated. Coupled with that slightly immature, but unbelievably handsome appearance, and the calmness revealed between the brows. He looked no different from an ordinary 13 or 14-year-old boy. Master Tsunade, Lu Ren. From a distance, 2 calls came. It's Shizun who has matured a lot, but his body hasn't changed much after all. Beside her was a handsome red-haired girl about 9 years old who was carrying a small backpack and wearing glasses. How many times have I said it? Lu Ren looked at Xianglin who was smiling happily, carrying a small medicine basket, bouncing up in front of him. Angrily, he flicked it on his smooth forehead. "I want to call you senior brother, or big brother Lu Ren, it doesn't matter whether it's big or small." Compared with the obedient and long-term malnourished appearance 2 years ago, now Xiangrin is already a lovely girl. With bright red long hair and delicate facial features, she looks playful and lovely. What's more, with the improvement of food, the missing nutrition was replenished, and her skin became even more white and tender. Shizun, the senior sister, couldn't help being a little envious. "No," Xianglin pouted and snorted, "Lu Ren, you are only 1 year older than me." 1 year older, and also your senior brother. Lu Ren tapped her head. Big hands covered her little head. A head of smooth red hair was directly rubbed into a mess, like weeds. HMPH, Lu Ren. Clap Lu Ren's hand away. Xianglin's pretty face became a little flushed. Angrily, he rushed directly at Lu Ren. Baring his teeth, he said viciously, "It's messed up his hair again." Said, she was aggrieved. I'm going to pinch Lu Ren's ridiculously handsome face. But in the blink of an eye, the 5 fingers of Lu Ren's right hand moved slightly. In an instant, it turned into green vines one after another, striking out like lightning. He directly tied up his whole body and hung him in midair. The whole person could only keep struggling there. Lu Ren, let me go, you tentacle monster. Unable to break free, Xianglin bared her teeth and claws in midair, full of anger. But in the end, I could only complain to Tsunade in despair. Master Tsunade, look at Lu Ren, it's so disgusting, he keeps bullying me. Okay, stop making trouble. Tsunade stopped the fight between the two. She folded her arms, suppressed the curve that was standing up and resisting, and said with a smile, in the past 2 years, the country of fire has almost traveled, so let's go to the country of Pei for a visit. The hot springs there are famous in the ninja world. I heard that they have the effect of beautifying and nourishing the skin. Huh, hot spring, really, awesome. Whether it's Xianglin or Shizune, their eyes lit up. Lu Ren, on the other hand, is full of black lines. Sure enough, as long as women are involved in beauty, even a little girl like Xianglin will become unbearable. Soon, Lu Ren caught some rabbits and started to prepare breakfast. With Xianglin and Shizune, the three of them divided the work, cleaned it up quickly, and roasted it on the fire. The 4 masters and apprentices sat around the fire. It looks very warm. Here, Sister Tsunade. Lu Ren smiled, handed a roasted rabbit to Tsunade. Thanks. Tsunade was also polite and took the roasted rabbit. He took a bite with his white teeth open, and tasted it there. With an expression of enjoyment, he said with satisfaction, sure enough, it is Lu Ren's craftsmanship, which has won my heart. By the way, Xianglin. She was still obsessed with the fact that she was just hung up by a tentacle monster, and she asked Xianglin, who made faces at Lu Ren from time to time, your healing jutsu, how are you doing? For chakra control, fine enough for someone. A-level medical ninjutsu like healing jutsu is actually not that difficult. The real difficulty is whether you can use it proficiently. Of course, Tsunade-sama, I'm already proficient in using healing jutsu. Xianglin patted her chest, full of pride. In the past 2 years, Shizune, Lu Ren, and Tsunade, 3 excellent medical ninjas, have taken turns teaching each other, and Xianglin's talent is not bad. Half a month ago, through continuous efforts, she has successfully mastered healing jutsu. Some of the critters were injured and I was able to heal them quickly. Talking. It's like she's offering a treasure. The hands quickly seal. There was a soft green light in the palm of his hand. Well, Master Tsunade, Karen's progress is very fast, although the use of healing jutsu is still very rough. Shizune smiled and said, but the next stage of study is ready. Compared to evildoers like Lu Ren, Xianglin's performance is like a normal genius. Of course, with such juniors and sisters, her teacher is under a lot of pressure. Although he wasn't afraid of being surpassed, he still didn't want to lose face too much. In the past 2 years, she often asked Lu Ren for advice without shame, gritted her teeth and insisted on training her chakra control. Although limited by personal talent, still can't get to the point where Tsunade is truly satisfied. But the progress is not small. Well, wait until Tango, and then find a chance for Xianglin to practice. Tsunade is satisfied. That's great. Shannon jumped up happily. She stuck her tongue out at Lu Ren, who was always bullying her, made a face, and snorted, Lu Ren, I will definitely surpass you. As everyone knows, Lu Ren bullied her on purpose. 2 years ago, when I found out that this little girl who had just turned 7 years old had become obsessed with his flourishing beauty at some point, and had the tendency to become a nymphomaniac. In order to correct her, he spent a lot of thought. After all, in comparison, Lu Ren still prefers a normal Xianglin. If you're a nympho, Konoha's ninja school has a lot of little picture fans fetal girls. For example, Ino's plastic sister, Haruno Sakura, is one of them. Yeah, Lu Ren smiled and rubbed her head. Then you have to work hard. Messing up people's hair again. An unruly girl, you should call me brother. Teacher, your size. Looking at the 2 people who were fighting again. Tsunade and Shizune smiled lightly. It is only at this time that they feel that Lu Ren is like a child who really matches his age. It can be seen that Lu Ren really treats Xianglin as a younger sister. Otherwise, he, who is mature and calm, might fight with such a little girl. Okay, Lu Ren, stop bullying Xianglin. Tsunade pulled out a scroll. Tossed to Lu Ren, who just suppressed Xianglin, this is for you. This is. Lu Ren was inexplicably surprised. After opening, the words, 100 healings mark, are marked in black and white on the head. It made his pupils shrink, and he couldn't help being overjoyed. This is the 100 healings mark passed down from my grandma, and the Baihao technique that I have developed based on the 100 healings mark over the years. Seeing Lu Ren, who was full of surprise, Tsunade said in a deep voice, "In the past 2 years, your medical skills have improved rapidly, and you are almost on par with me. Except for these 2 skills, I, my teacher, have nothing to teach you. If you want to improve in the future, you can only look at yourself." Just as Tsunade expected in the past. In just 2 years, Lu Ren emptied the medical knowledge she had accumulated over the years. Its medical ninjutsu can be said to have advanced by leaps and bounds, far surpassing Shizune, the senior sister. Moreover, Lu Ren's thinking is even more unconstrained. She often has unique insights that make her eyes brighten as a teacher. Benefit him a lot. Strictly speaking, he can already become a teacher and be on his own. It is different from her teacher. It's just the rich clinical experience she has accumulated over the decades. But if he blindly imitates her, it will only limit his thinking and prevent him from making progress. It is necessary for Lu Ren to experience it personally, keep studying, developing, and accumulating, so that one day she can really surpass her teacher. These 2 techniques are closely related. If you want to learn Baihao technique, you must learn 100 healings mark. Tsunade said with a smile. Of course, for you who have Muji's healing ability, you don't need Baihao technique. What you really need is 100 healings mark, a technique that can store excess chakra in normal times. No, I think these techniques are very useful to me. Lu Ren accepted the scroll and said with a smile, "Sister Tsunade, do you still remember the medical scroll I mentioned?" "Of course I remember that. Although your idea is extremely difficult, it is indeed quite feasible, but it is also very limited." Tsunade nodded. In a discussion with Lu Ren once mentioned whether medical ninjutsu such as healing jutsu can be sealed in the scroll by experienced medical ninjas, like storing items in storage scrolls. In this way, even ninjas who do not know medical ninjutsu at all can directly use it to master the advanced healing jutsu in disguise to treat the wounded. But all aspects involved in it are very complicated, not that simple. In particular, each wounded's injury is complex and different. Not universally applicable. I think, is it possible to seal the complete 100 healings mark, and even Baihao technique, like the sealed-tailed beast, Wang Zhao's, into someone else's body with a special sealing technique? Lu Ren's eyes were burning, and he said bluntly, "Through the special chakra transformation mechanism, adjust the subtle output of chakra, so that the opponent can master the 100 healings mark and Baihao technique in disguise, like Jinchuriki mobilizes the tail beast chakra." Quote. What? Shizune and Xianglin on the side couldn't help being stunned and couldn't help swallowing. Is such an exaggerated thing really possible? You really are a little whimsical. Tsunade looked at Lu Ren in disbelief. She frowned, and said seriously, although it is feasible to a certain extent, it is not that simple to achieve it. Compared to Shizune and Xianglin, Tsunade looked further and thought more. This can already be said to be a brand new forbidden technique. If it really succeeds, it will bring huge changes to the ninja world. It is absolutely possible to make people with mediocre aptitudes have the possibility to become strong. Paula. Before the fire, Tsunade's expression changed. He stared at Lu Ren quietly. After a long time, she sighed, and her face became more solemn than ever. The development of this forbidden technique must not avoid human experiments. If this forbidden technique is really successfully developed, the effects would be unimaginable. If even forbidden techniques such as 100 healings mark and Baihao technique can be sealed into other people's bodies, let them master them in disguise and use them proficiently. Then sealing other powerful forbidden techniques can naturally achieve this level as well. This is second. The point is, want to succeed. The intermediate process obviously has to go through real human experiments. Bloody is indispensable. Well, this is inevitable. Lu Ren nodded. He knew what Tsunade was worried about. I'm afraid that he, like Orochimaru, is immersed in the forbidden technique, and his character gradually becomes crazy, paranoid, and twisted. In the end, in order to achieve the goal, he was desperate and completely lost the bottom line. He did not hesitate to use innocent lives, or even his own companions, to carry out cruel human experiments. What? Heard words. Shocked by Lu Ren's unconstrained conception, Xianglin and Shizune, who were sitting there quietly listening, couldn't help but change their expressions. Some scalp tingling. Lu Ren, I won't stop you, and I know I can't stop you. Tsunade took a deep breath, looked at this genius disciple, and said in a deep voice, but I hope you will stick to the basic bottom line, and don't get too immersed in it and lose yourself. Tsunade is naturally clear. The current Lu Ren is not as crazy as Orochimaru no matter what. It's just that the bottom line of a person is repeatedly jumping sideways on that critical line, only to lose it bit by bit. In the face of the temptation of success, it is not an easy thing to keep your heart. On this point, Sister Tsunade, you don't have to worry. Lu Ren straightened his face and said, I won't come. He really wasn't that bottomless. The ninja world is so big. There are a lot of bandits, rebellious forebearers and so on. The big deal is to slow down and spend some time looking for materials. After all, no matter what, I don't want to disappoint you, Sister Tsunade. Lu Ren looked at Tsunade's beautiful face and said with a smile. Well, I believe you. Watching Lu Ren's unpretentious appearance, Tsunade's gaze turned soft, and he stroked Lu Ren's head. She tirelessly followed the instructions. However, don't be too anxious. Experienced brutal wars, and traveled the ninja world for so many years. What kind of thing has Tsunade, Sanin, not seen? Naturally, it is not the naive White Lotus. Even her second grandfather, second Hokage, developed the forbidden technique through human experiments more than once. Otherwise, how did such an extremely inhumane forbidden technique like impure world reincarnation come about? Of course, second Hokage uses the heinous death row prisoners or some bandits, rebels, or the dead bodies of the enemy. It is not like Orochimaru, who has no bottom line for forbidden technique and directly uses those innocent lives, even his own village companions. As long as the opponent can hold his own bottom line like second Hokage, she won't stop it. Of course it didn't happen in one step. Lu Ren smiled and said, I will try it slowly. Seal the complete 100 healings mark and Baihao technique into other people's bodies, and through the special chakra transformation mechanism, they can control these 2S level forbidden techniques in disguise like Jinchuriki masters the power of tailed beasts. This is undoubtedly difficult, but it can be divided into steps, step by step slowly. Then, the first step of the plan. Lu Ren smiled and said, let's start by mastering some sealing techniques. 2 years of precipitation. He also did not choose to go to Konoha, some secret techniques, forbidden technique, or even the sealing technique and other collections. Instead, he was patient and followed Tsunade to learn medical ninjutsu, delved into the secret techniques of the Uchiha clan, ninjutsu scrolls, and those ninjutsu practiced or developed by predecessors, the experience left by forbidden technique, mobile phones, etc. Today, the collection of the Uchiha family has been completely digested, and those priceless treasures have been turned into their own heritage. The number of ninjutsu he has mastered may not be as good as that of third Hokage, who claims to have mastered all mainstream ninjutsu in Konoha and is known as the ninja professor. However, his accomplishments and self-confidence in the 5-sense ninjutsu have completely surpassed the other party. Except for some special secret techniques and forbidden technique, he can use most of the 5-sense ninjutsu proficiently without even needing seals. I don't have many sealing techniques. Tsunade asked. There is only one 5-element seal, do you want to learn it? As the granddaughter of Uzumaki Mido, she has senju blood and has fine chakra control. She actually has the talent to learn the sealing technique. Just not much interest in this area. So except for 100 healings mark, I didn't learn other sealing techniques from Uzumaki Mido. Don't worry, wait until I master 100 healings mark and Baihao technique. Lu Ren said. The meal should be eaten one bite at a time. He wasn't worried at all, and said with a smile, as for the sealing technique, just ask Danzo for it. Tsunade crossed his arms and said there, maybe, if you have time, you can go to the country of the vortex and see if you can gain anything. The country of the vortex. Xianglin was inexplicably surprised, a little curious. She still doesn't know what her mother's hometown is like. However, after experiencing the tragic war, 9 times out of 10, it has been reduced to ruins like that Shuzaki castle, right? All in all, gazing at Tsunade's beautiful face, with a smile in Lu Ren's eyes, Sister Tsunade, will you help me too? He is indeed very interested in learning the sealing technique. But he was not in a hurry to develop the forbidden technique just mentioned, let alone that impatiently. Strictly speaking, it was not prepared for himself, but for Yuhihong, Ino, Tiantian and other girls. He himself doesn't need it at all. Lu Ren, who is unwilling to be ordinary, has never doubted whether he can obtain eternal life. Therefore, he didn't want to look at his woman. In this way, one after another, I am getting old. Therefore, he doesn't mind finding one or two assistants who are good enough to help complete such a forbidden technique. You boy. Tsunade looked at Lu Ren speechlessly. He actually drew attention to her. However, if she left it alone, she would really feel a little worried. Eat and drink enough. Tsunade was in no rush to set off. Instead, let Shizune continue to teach Karen there. He took Lu Ren back to the wooden house and prepared to teach him the Baihao technique in person. Instruct Lu Ren to read the scrolls of 100 Healings Mark and Baihao technique first. Baihao technique must accumulate a certain amount of chakra within 3 years. After reading the relevant introduction on the scroll, Lu Ren looked at Tsunade in surprise. This is for people with a small amount of chakra. Even if I developed it and started to practice officially, I couldn't omit this step. Tsunade nodded, but looking at Lu Ren in front of him, he felt a little inexplicable. But your current chakra is at least 5 times that of mine, so it won't be affected at all. Even the Senju clan or Uzumaki clan known for their huge amount of chakra. At this age, chakra's strength can be compared with Lu Ren, perhaps only the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of the past dynasties, and first Hokage of the same age is not good. For 10-year-old Lu Ren, the amount of chakra has more than tripled compared to 2 years ago. According to Tsunade's estimate, at least 5 times as much as himself. Of course, that doesn't count the portion of chakra she's stockpiled with the 100 Healings Mark. It's simply an unbelievable evildoer. That's good. Lu Ren smiled, sitting there cross-legged, under the guidance of Tsunade. Start practicing 100 Healings Mark. On the hands, continue to cooperate and seal. Incomparably serious, immersed in it. And in his consciousness. Clatter. A trickle of chakra that symbolizes itself. It keeps circulating and running back and forth in the chakra meridian system in the body. Followed by Lu Ren making mudra with both hands. Give your full attention and focus. A pool like a bottomless pit opened up there. The trickle was guided partly from the chakra meridian system and flowed continuously into the mysterious pool. Brush. Less than half an hour. Look at the diamond-shaped imprint that directly manifested on Lu Ren's forehead. Tsunade shrank his eyes, a little speechless. She was hit again. At first, in order to master the 100 Healings Mark, she spent a lot of time and energy on it. As a result, Lu Ren mastered it so easily. No, Sister Tsunade, the chakra that 100 Healings Mark can store is too little. Lu Ren opened his eyes, and said to Tsunade helplessly, if this goes on, I will be able to fill it up in a short time. Such 100 Healings Mark is really useful. At least, he no longer has to worry about the lack of chakra in the future. Although relatively speaking, his amount of chakra is already astonishing, it can completely crush the average shadow. However, his future opponents will all be strong men who far surpass the level of the 5 shadows. All are humanoid-tailed beasts. And, quite possibly the 10 tails kind. So, for everyone else, the 100 Healings Mark is perfectly adequate. When it comes to him, it seems a little insufficient. No way, your chakra is too much. Tsunade was speechless, shrugged, however, I think this is enough for you. Then next, you practice 100 Healings Mark and Baihao technique here first. If you don't understand anything, ask me again. Finished. Tsunade got up and walked outside. I am going to guide Xianglin, a disciple. She is very clear about the potential of Lu Ren. Such people are doomed not to invest too much energy in the medical field in the future, and must embark on the road of all-round development. She doesn't want to limit the limitless future of the other party because of herself. In particular, there seems to be an undead Uchiha Madara, hiding in the dark like a lion majesty dormant, plotting an unknown conspiracy. If the other party is really, as Lu Ren guessed, instigated by the stone tablet suspected to be left by the legendary ancestor of Ninja Sage of 6 Paths in the shrine of the Uchiha clan, and wants to collect all the tailed beasts, what kind of 10 tails Jinchuriki will become? The whole world launches infinite Tsukuyomi. Then, only Lu Ren can stop the opponent. Therefore, Xiong Lin, who is extremely talented and has the blood of the Uzumaki family, has been regarded as the heir who can truly inherit his mantle. Make up your mind to train it to be your successor. Good. Lu Ren smiled and nodded. He did remember, in the original trajectory, when Haruno Sakura was practicing Baihao technique. Because I feel that my chakra is not enough. Relying on the meticulous control of chakra, he was born outside the mysterious pool of Baihao technique, and opened up another small, water army, to store chakra for easy access in normal times. This is undoubtedly worthy of his reference. Perhaps a larger and wider lake can be opened up. This way, for others, it may be a bit difficult. But for Lu Ren, this may not be impossible. This is the self-confidence that he naturally possesses after digesting the precious collections of the Uchiha clan over the long years and completely transforming them into his own heritage. 3 days later, Tang Country. On a scenic hillside. A group of 4 people, plus a pig, looked at a small town that was already faintly visible in the distance. Wow, is this the country of soup? Tsunade, who had been here before, said with a smile. On a street, there are at least half of the hot spring shops, and even the hotel is that kind of hot spring hotel. Because the geographical environment here is very special, the underground is a natural hot spring, which is famous far and wide. There is a saying in the country of Tang, just find a place, dig a deep hole, and hot springs may emerge. Xionglin's eyes lit up. Can't wait, carrying a small medicine basket, rushed forward. Pu-tu, let's go. Dog, wait, Xionglin. As a senior sister, Shizune tries hard to appear calm and elder. But that followed, with some brisk steps. But betrayed her. And Lu Ren followed behind with a smile. Even Tsunade, the teacher, doesn't mean to blame. Not long, a group of 4 came to a small town. Looking at the shops on both sides of the street with the sign of soup bath. They couldn't help being a little dumbfounded. But most of the shops clearly displayed the sign of closed business. However, why are there so few people? Looking at the scattered passers-by hurrying to and fro on the deserted street, Xiongling was full of puzzlement. Besides, everyone seems to be in a hurry, for fear of encountering something. When I came here, it wasn't like this, but it was very lively. Tsunade couldn't help raising his eyebrows. Then find a place to live first, and then inquire about it. Lu Ren shrugged. A few people quickly found a hot spring hotel that was open and looked good. Boss, 3 rooms with soft beds, plus a table for the banquet. Lu Ren knocked on the counter. Woke up the hotel owner who was lying there, half asleep and half awake. Also, arrange for a private hot spring, don't mix baths with strangers. Considering Xiong Rin's age is too young. They are traveling abroad and may encounter danger at any time. Generally, Xiong Rin sleeps with Shizune. Therefore, Lu Ren directly asked for 3 rooms. Do you want to open a room? He opened his sleepy eyes. Hearing that there was a business coming, the boss who was a bit fat and drowsy just now woke up. Some were overjoyed. He was busy entertaining a few people warmly. Well, there is no problem with these, I will have someone prepare them right away. Are you all foreigners who came here just because of their fame? Well, we just arrived here. Tsunade nodded, and asked directly, Boss, why is this place so deserted? I remember it was very lively when I came here, there should be no wars now, right? Recently, there has been some unrest here. The boss collected the deposit and registered there. He looked at a few people and reminded, when you usually go out, it's best not to be alone. What's the matter? Xiongling and Shizune were inexplicably surprised. Of course, the ninja itself. There is also Tsunade, the legendary Sanin, and Lu Ren, who looks harmless to humans and animals but is actually unbelievably strong. Naturally, they were not intimidated. Isn't it caused by the evil god sect? He led several people to the guest room upstairs. The boss looked sad, and sighed softly. In the past few months, people have been killed continuously, and it is said that the death conditions are horrible, very cruel, and all of them are single people. What? Xiongling asked in surprise, who did that? At the side, Lu Ren and Yin could not help but frown. The boss shook his head. No one has seen the murderer, it's just that the cult's mark was left at the scene. I heard that the city lord specially entrusted the ninjas of Tangyan village to track down the murderer, but instead of catching them, all the ninjas who came to investigate were killed. Cthulhite religion. Lu Ren shrank his eyes, a little surprised. Could it be the Hidan who has the immortal body? He remembered that before that guy joined the Shao organization, he was already a traitor in Tangyan village. Anyway, this incident has caused panic, and many tourists have been scared away, and now there is no business. Although I am very happy to have business here, I advise you to leave here as soon as possible. Of course, the deposit for 3 days' stay is definitely non-refundable. Inside the hotel, arrange rooms for several people. After the hotel owner finished speaking, he turned and left. I am going to call the tigress from home to be in charge of entertaining Tsunade and others. By the way, I went to prepare the high-end banquet requested by Lu Ren's name. Don't worry about it so much, let's go to a hot spring first, and then have a nice meal. Lu Ren put away his backpack. Stretch out and stretch your muscles. He said nonchalantly, I'll meet that murderer from the evil god sect again. Lu Ren, can you find that killer? Shannon asked in surprise. Knocking on Xianglin's forehead, Lu Ren said speechlessly, didn't I teach you how to perceive? 643. In this area, we only need to focus on the stronger chakra guys besides us. There are 9 out of 10 you can't go wrong. When the hotel owner mentioned the evil god religion earlier, he has already activated his exaggerated perception ability. It is easy to perceive the less weak chakra outside the city. Just didn't pay attention to it. Yes, Xianglin suddenly realized. Randomly, she made mudras with both hands. Use the mind eye of Kagura, that awakened naturally shortly after you learned how to use chakra. Began to fully perceive it. Found it. Xianglin opened his eyes, surprised. She pointed to the southeast, and said to Tsunade, Shizune and others, it's about 3 kilometers outside the city. Yes, not bad. Lu Ren applauded. With the teaching of famous teachers like Tsunade, there are also his guidance and suggestions from time to time. Although Xiangrin was 7 years old, she began to really refine chakra. But it's hard work in itself, coupled with outstanding talent. After 2 years of experience, they are no longer comparable to Konoha's greenhouse flowers. Already able to master the Uzumaki families, Kagura mind eye. Is it that close? Tsunade couldn't help frowning too. Although she is not so sympathetic. But for this kind of aimless, purely killing for fun. Obviously disgusted. Then Master Tsunade, do we care? Holding dolphins. Shizune looked at Tsunade who was calling the shots. Just follow what Lu Ren said. Tsunade glanced at Lu Ren, and said angrily, I guess his hands are itchy right now, and he can't wait for an opponent to come to his door. Lu Ren's strength. Just how powerful it is. Tsunade wasn't sure right now either. After 2 years of hell-style practice, wood clone can no longer threaten his body. No matter how many wood clones there are, they can only be swept away in a destructive manner. A single technique combined with that astonishing strange power. It's already unbelievably strong. This guy's physique does not match his age, it is not at the human level. At least even she, when fighting Lu Ren with physical skills, she can no longer take advantage of it. As for ninjutsu, ever since I witnessed Lu Ren this guy 2 years ago, directly integrate the chakra nature transformation of the wind attribute into the Rasengan, which is already equivalent to the chakra form transformation ultimate, and easily develop the wind-style spiral shuriken that 4th Hokage tried his best to achieve during his lifetime, but was unable to complete it too late. Tsunade has completely lost the idea of fighting the opponent with all his strength, not sticking to illusion, ninjutsu, and physical arts except for Sharingan. That's just asking for fun. She is a dignified Sannin, and she also wants to save face. Even Danzo was suppressed to death. It would be too embarrassing if he was easily crushed by Lu Ren. How can she build her prestige as a teacher? Is it just fierce? Soon, Obasan, who was tall and thick, walked up with a smile on his face. Take a few people to the hot spring pool in the backyard of the hotel. Because there are only 4 of them and 1 pig in the entire hotel. The other party directly arranged the largest hot spring pool. It was empty and quiet. Extremely comfortable. Clatter. Marvelous. It's so comfortable. Female soup. It was foggy. Xiangrin, Shizune, and Tsunade are soaking in the hot spring. He closed his eyes comfortably and smiled contentedly. Lu Ren, you guys are not allowed to take a peek. Xianglin said loudly to Lu Ren, who was lying lazily in the men's soup across the wall, like a wolf. I don't know if it's because of the heat of the hot spring, my little face is a little flushed. Heard the words, Lu Ren in the male soup. Can't help but rolled his eyes. Don't worry, Xianglin, he said angrily. I'm not interested in your figure. If you want to see it, it's up to Sister Tsunade. Lu Ren, lustful to Baolin, looking at his flat body. He also looked at the beauty of his teacher Tsunade floating naturally from the water. The defenseless Xianglin rubbed her fists, her eyes spewing fire. Baring his fangs, he almost turned black. Lu Ren, if you kid dare to run over with the big hole Mouchi, be ready to die. Tsunade opened his mouth with a smile. The tone is full of gentleness, harmless to humans and animals. Although she can't see Lu Ren, who is in a different space. But Karen's perception ability, which is extremely excellent among the Uzumaki clan, is not a vegetarian. Hee, Lu Ren, are you regretting that if you knew earlier, you wouldn't have taught Xianglin how to develop Kagura's mind-eye sensitivity? Shizune, who was soaking in the hot spring, was also laughing and teasing there. She knew exactly how much this little junior brother from a small devil's university covets Mrs. Tsunade. So much so that Master Tsunade doesn't dare to treat this guy as an ordinary little devil now. Speaking of which, Tsunade's pretty face couldn't help but turn slightly red. Because, a certain little fool really regarded her as a pillow. Restless sleep. And is that biteable? The corner of Lu Ren's mouth twitched. I closed my eyes and soaked there, not wanting to respond. Thinking of the real-life pillow named Tsunade, that I lost, and the pendant that is now out of reach. He couldn't help but feel a little heartache and itchy teeth. If he still has a few bottom lines, and little Lu Ren still thrives, the plot will have developed into a series of Transparent in the World, long ago. But there is one thing to say. Tisk tisk, Sister Tsunade's exaggerated figure. You really deserve to be the #1 person in Konoha. Violence. Sunset. Dusk. Under a shady tree, a rather handsome figure lay there lazily. Next it was a strange-looking long weapon composed of 3 blood-colored sickles. Another boring day, Hidan yawned, thinking about whether to kill a few more people tonight. Whoosh w. A few figures came galloping. Standing there, he looked at the young man in front of him in surprise. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like that kind of murderer with a distorted personality who believes in religion. After soaking in the hot spring, they happily enjoyed a meal of country's special food. The few people who were full of wine and food came here under the urging of Xianglin's excitement. But unexpectedly, the other party was completely different from the imagined murderer. Hidan looked at the man, full of surprise. Recovered, he held his own weapon, the bloody March scythe, and stood up to look at the leader, Tsunade. He also looked at Shizune, Lu Ren, and Xianglin who were beside him. He asked with a smile, you two beautiful young ladies, and the little brother next to you, do you want to join the cult of the evil god? Cthulite, are you really that murderer? Xianglin clenched her powder fist, glared at the other party, and said loudly, we don't want to join that kind of cult. It's not a cult. Waving the bloody March scythe, Hidan said loudly, our doctrine is very free. You can do whatever you want to join the cult of the evil god, and you can even kill people at will. Not only will the Lord Evil God not blame you, but he will be very happy. Quote, I'm not interested in hearing your twisted teachings. Tsunade folded her arms, leaning against a nearby tree. He didn't mean to do it himself, but signaled to Lu Ren, I'll leave it to you. Lu Ren put his hands in his pockets. He walked towards Hidan unhurriedly. He is very interested in that immortal body. On the ground, a large number of values grew strangely. There are even colorful flowers in full bloom. Immediate changes, to Hidan's surprise. But looking at the arrogant Lu Ren in front of him, he couldn't help showing a cruel smile. Then, I can only sacrifice you all to the evil god. Regardless of the other person's age. He swung the bloody sickle mercilessly. He slammed it up. Kang. Lu Ren can't dodge or dodge. An iron and wooden stake broke through the ground in front of him. It actually firmly blocked the strangely shaped, extremely sharp, bloody March sickle that was hard to guard against. The sparks were dotted, and there was a sound of metal and iron clashing. Shocking. What? This scene. Hidan's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe it. Swipe. Brush. In an instant, on the ground, a large number of vines grew directly, flying towards him like lightning. Hidan's complexion changed drastically, and he hurriedly retreated to dodge. At the same time, he swung the sharp blood-colored sickle and kept chopping. However, next moment, his legs were still entangled by several vines. And like a lion majesty, it continuously wrapped around his body along his legs. Hidan, who was shocked, had no time to struggle. The whole person has been firmly bound like a big rice dumpling. Both hands were bound by 2 vines, and the whole person was pulled apart in a cross shape. Hanging in midair, the bloody sickle fell to the ground. Full of unwillingness and anger, he shouted there, "Let me go, let me go." Under the surprised and inexplicable eyes of Tsunade, Shonglin, Shizune and others. Imprisoned Hidan, a startling change has taken place. In a blink of an eye, the whole body became extremely black, and there were white lines all over the body. He was handsome at first, but now he looks like a devil. It looked hideous, scary. Oh, Lu Ren raised his eyebrows. He raised his right hand and shook it lightly. Not only did the wooden vines that bind Hidan become tighter, and the chakra in his body is constantly being absorbed at an alarming rate. In an instant, he became extremely weak and could no longer struggle. Quote, "No mercy." A vine was extremely sharp, directly piercing through its heart. Wow. Hidan, who was severely injured and unable to resist, vomited blood. Ah, it hurts to death. His mouth was full of blood, but he looked like a normal person and stared at Lu Ren in front of him fiercely. "You have to kill me. Lousy as immortal, ha ha ha." What? Witnessed this scene. Shonglin and Shizune turned pale with shock. Even Tsunade couldn't help shrinking his pupils. Somewhat unbelievable. They came to Lu Ren's side one after another. He looked at Hidan, who was bound there in front of him and pierced through his heart by sharp vines. Although he was dripping with blood, he was still alive and well. Hidan was safe and sound. Full of disbelief. Immortal. Lu Ren stared at Hidan and smiled slightly. He snapped his fingers lightly. Scrub. In a split second, several vines rushed out again. At the end, it was extremely sharp, and the wolf came out with a huge profit. Hee. Blood splattered. Hidan couldn't help screaming. His face was full of pain and blood was bleeding from his mouth. Kai. A vine, directly wrapped around the sharp side. Without mercy, he severed Hidan's head. A bloody head rolled down. Ah, how dare you cut off my head? In the shrunk eyes of Tsunade and others, the head that fell to the ground actually let out a loud cry. His eyes were bloodshot, and he stared at Lu Ren in front of him with great resentment, and kept yelling, it hurts to death, you brat." But in the blink of an eye, because of the severe pain, he was in a cold sweat. A ferocious smile appeared again, appearing extremely proud. "I said, with the protection of Lord Evil God, you can't kill me. If you cut off your head, you won't die." Shonglin's face turned pale. "I just feel a little cold. This guy, is he really immortal?" Looking at Hidan, who was pierced by so many vines that he could not even die if his head was cut off, and he was still yelling there. Even Shizune can't help feeling a little tingly. It seems that his body has undergone some kind of special transformation, and it can hardly be said that he is not human. The hands are condensed with chakra, pressed on Hidan's body. Check the opponent's body structure. Tsunade frowned, his complexion became extremely serious. "Sister Tsunade." A vine flew out, grabbed Hidan's bloody head. Observing the other party, Lu Ren's eyes were burning, and he smiled lightly. "It's hard to find such an experimental subject. Isn't this the best experimental body? Anyway, no matter how much you toss, you are not afraid of killing him. It can be used repeatedly without any psychological burden. You fool, even if you take Lousy's head back, I won't forgive you." Seeing Lu Ren actually took his head back. Moreover, he also used medical ninjutsu to heal himself. Hidan, who thought that the other party was afraid, was arrogant. "However, if you are willing to join the cult of the heretic god, the Lord Heretic God should be very happy." However, in the next moment, his complexion changed drastically. Because, after Lu Ren picked up his head, he actually took out a storage scroll directly from the ninja tool bag at his waist. Staring at Hidan, who was tied up in front of him by the tree and vines and struggling desperately, Lu Ren smiled lightly there. Although storage scrolls generally cannot store living things, but I think you won't die from lack of oxygen directly. Boom. All of a sudden, the smoke filled the air. On a blank storage scroll, a large number of spells are dazzling. In the middle, there is a miniaturized humanoid pattern. It's Hidan, lifelike. You boy. Seeing Lu Ren's skillful operation, Tsunade and Shizune were speechless. If the other little ghosts saw such an unkillable monster, they would probably be scared to death. Fortunately, Lu Ren completely regarded the other party as an experimental material. Such experimental subjects are hard to come by, and it would be too wasteful to kill them directly. Lu Ren shrugged. He certainly has a way of dealing with Hidan's immortality. The big deal is to smash the opponent's body into thousands of pieces, and then directly use fire style to burn it to ashes. But instead of killing it directly, where can I get such an excellent experimental subject? Also, it's up to you next. Talking. With a smile on his face, Lu Ren stomped on his feet. Quote. The earth trembled and roared endlessly. In the eyes of Tsunade, Xionglan and Shizune, they were surprised and inexplicable. A white figure was violently rushed out from the ground by the earth wall that soared into the sky. Brush. All of a sudden, several vines came out. Instantly went through it. Impressively white Zetsu. How is it possible that you can find me? White Zetsu yelled in horror, looking at Lu Ren in disbelief. Moreover, there is Wood Style's blood succession limit. What is this? Suna frowned at the white Zetsu, which was humanoid but not human at all, and even had spikes on its body. Xionglan looked at the white Zetsu, full of chills. What a disgusting guy. Why did they meet all these weird guys today? You are really good at hiding, and ordinary perception skills may not be able to detect you. Lu Ren stared at white Zetsu. His face remained unchanged, and he said lightly, but, I am the nature itself. I have recorded your special breath, and I can easily distinguish it. Eyes instantly turned red. White Zetsu was horrified, but hadn't had time to cry out. It has been controlled by illusion. Tell me, your purpose. Lu Ren asked directly. White Zetsu didn't struggle, and responded dully. Ontology asked us to search for the location of that murderer in Yuno country. Ah! There was a scream. Sharp vines run through it. In an instant, it was devoured. Looking for this guy. Lu Ren touched his chin. It is speculated that Hidan acted recklessly, and the impact of serial killings was too great, causing panic and uneasiness. The Akatsuki organization currently operating in the ninja world as a mercenary organization is likely to have received relevant commissions from Tango country. At the same time, the Shao organization should also want to take the opportunity to find powerful new members who are qualified to join them. Okay, now that it's settled, let's go back first. Tsunade said. As she spoke, she pointed to the scroll in Lu Ren's hand. As for that guy, wait until you have time to study it. Lu Ren nodded with a smile. At the same time, as if feeling something, he glanced into the distance. Follow Tsunade and others, and left here. However, not long after the group left, another figure appeared on the ground. It is exactly the same as Lu Ren. Whoosh! After a while, a figure in a black robe appeared in front of Lu Ren. Kneeling on one knee, Lord Lu Ren. The person who came was wearing sunglasses and had a grim expression on his face. There were bugs crawling on his face, but he ignored them. If Orochimaru were here, I'm afraid he could recognize it directly. This is obviously his former partner in the Root organization, Danzo's most trusted confidant, Aburame Ryoma. Well, have you brought all the things I want? Looking at Aburame Ryoma in front of him, Lu Ren asked directly. In order not to expose his relationship with Danzo, and at the same time to facilitate contact with Danzo. He had already used distinguished heavenly gods to control Danzo, a powerful and extremely capable confidant. It's all here. Aburame Ryoma nodded. He took out 2 storage scrolls and sent them to Lu Ren. Including the Yamanaka family, Nara family, Akamiki family and other Konoha families' secret arts. This is already all the sealing techniques, various secret techniques, and forbidden techniques that Genin can collect from Konoha at present. He looked at Lu Ren, who was young and unreasonably young, full of respect and enthusiasm, and said, In addition, the relevant materials left by second Hokage who developed forbidden technique are also backed up in it. In the other scroll are the corpses of blood-continued bound ninjas that the root organization has collected one after another over the years, and the DNA of the past shadows of various countries that have been collected from the ninja world according to your requirements in the past 2 years' substance. I'm very sorry, Mr. Lu Ren, except for Konoha's past shadows, other ninja villages Qian Nuohao only collect 2nd Kazekage Samana, 2nd Mizukage Ghost Lantern, 2nd Tsuchikage Nun, 3rd Reikage their corpses. What about the impure world reincarnation I want? Lu Ren asked. He is not stupid, let alone pedantic. Naturally, such a useful tool such as root tissue will not be left unused. Therefore, Danzo has been ordered to collect the corpses of blood successor limit ninjas. Moreover, there are a lot of body materials collected in the past in the root organization. There is no need to run around the equipment in person. Together with the Flying Thunder God technique, spiritualization technique, 8 inner gates and other forbidden techniques, it's all in. Aburame Ryoma responded. In the past 2 years, in order to fulfill Lu Ren's request to collect historical photos from various countries, the root organization did not hesitate to send some elite personnel to sneak into the major ninja villages to rob tombs, and lost many people. Go down. Yes, hee. Inside the hotel. After receiving the 2 scrolls sent back by Wood Clone, Lu Ren smiled lightly. Open the storage scroll containing countless secret techniques, forbidden technique, and sealing techniques. Above, it's dazzling. Yamanaka Mystery, Nara Mystic, Akamiki Mystic. 8 inner gates, spiritualization technique, Flying Thunder God technique, impure world reincarnation, tandem paper bombs. The 3-party seal, the 5-element seal, the seal of evil, the seal of the 4 images, the seal of the inside and the 4 images, the seal of the root of the tongue, the seal of the self-karma curse. However, the sealing technique collected by Danzo is still limited after all. Put away the other secret techniques and forbidden technique, leaving only the sealing technique. Lu Ren was there, thinking, I'm still an orthodox Uzumaki tribe, and I have mastered the sealing technique more completely. Lu Ren, it's me. With a knock on the door. Outside, Tsunade's voice was heard. Sister Tsunade, you're here. Lu Ren stepped forward to open the door. Looking at the beautiful and moving figure in front of him, he smiled. You kid, you stayed in the room alone as soon as you came back, thinking that you couldn't wait to study that immortal cultivator of the heretic god. Tsunade walked in, glanced into the house, looking at these dazzling sealing techniques. Her eyelids couldn't help twitching. Is this from Danzo? The value of these precious sealing techniques is immeasurable. Once it spreads out, all countries may not be able to sit still. Do not hesitate to come and snatch it. Lu Ren nodded. He stretched his waist and said with a smile, that guy from the Cthulhu sect is not in a hurry, he won't be able to escape anyway. Right now, I want to master these sealing techniques as soon as possible. I remember you once said that your wood style is very special. You only need a drop of blood from those blood successor limit ninjas, and you can directly plunder the opponent's blood successor limit. Tsunade stared at Lu Ren, and said in a deep voice, I think you won't let that guy's immortal body go. She knew the disciple in front of her very well. Seeing Hidan's strange immortal body, it is impossible to ignore it like this. Well, I did try to devour some of his blood before, to see if I can get that kind of immortality. Lu Ren didn't hide anything. Spreading his hands, he said, but it's a pity, it failed. There was no sign of disappointment. Because, he guessed Hidan's immortality. It should not only be a problem with the body, but also with the soul. It will hurt, it will bleed, it will hurt. Whether it is to penetrate the vital points, or directly dismantle it into 8 pieces. No matter how painful I am, no matter how much blood I bleed, I will not die directly. After all, in the original trajectory, this guy was tricked by Shikamaru and blown to pieces without actually dying. Apparently, through some kind of forbidden technique taught by the heretic god, its soul was completely imprisoned on the body. As for the source of the immortal body, is it really related to the evil god, he said. That's not a puzzle that Lu Ren can solve right now. Even the blood successor limit of the Uchiha clan, you can perfectly integrate. Tsunade raised his eyebrows. It seems that it shouldn't be a blood succession limit or something like history. I think so. Lu Ren nodded. He raised his right hand lightly. Sections of wood carvings kept popping out there. At a speed visible to the naked eye, one after another wood clone was formed. Lu Ren pointed to the sealing techniques. I will leave these to you. No problem. In Tsunade's silent gaze, he handed over the task of learning those sealing techniques to his wood clone. Lu Ren took out another scroll and gestured to Tsunade. Sister Tsunade, you should be familiar with this. Tsunade took the scroll with some surprise. When I opened it, my pupils shrank. Flying Thunder God Technique. I didn't expect Danzo to entrust this technique to you. How could she not be familiar with the Flying Thunder God Technique? This is the space-time ninjutsu developed by her second grandfather, Senju Tobarama. With this trick, he defeated Uchiha Madara Aidj's younger brother, Uchiha Izuna, who is his old enemy, and is known as the #1 speed in the ninja world. Later, 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato further improved the Flying Thunder God technique. In the Third Ninja World War, he shined brilliantly and became the new generation's #1 speed in the ninja world. He even won the title of Yellow Flash, and became famous in the ninja world. Shi, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, et al. Even senior executives such as 3rd Hokage have actually tried to learn the Flying Thunder God technique. But this S-level forbidden technique requires a special talent. So far, no one has successfully mastered it except 2nd Hokage and 4th Hokage. If it's you, maybe you can really master the Flying Thunder God technique. Tsunade looked at Lu Ren and said with a smile. She has no doubts about this disciple's talent. Then how long do you think it will take me to master Flying Thunder God? Lu Ren asked with a smile. He felt that he really had the talent for space. Because, his Mangekyo Sharingan pupil technique Dashue Muchi. In a sense, it is time and space ninjutsu. Although ordinary ninjutsu, you will learn it as soon as you learn it. Tsunade thought for a while, and said directly, but after all, Flying Thunder God technique is an S-level space-time ninjutsu, and the difficulty is not at the same level as summoning technique. A genius like 4th Hokage, at the beginning it took a month to master the first paragraph of Flying Thunder God. I think you need a day or two, right? A day or two. With a smile in his eyes, Lu Ren said, why don't you make a bet? What do you want to bet? Tsunade rolled his eyes and looked at him with a smile. It's still early. The corners of the mouth are raised. Lu Ren said confidently, if I can master Flying Thunder God within 3 hours, Sister Tsunade, you will be a pillow for me tonight. Of course, if I can't do it, I'll give you 5 million taels directly and let you go to the casino to have a good time. Originally he wanted to talk for 2 hours. But to be on the safe side, it is still set at 3 hours. 3 hours. Tsunade's eyelids twitched. Looking at the confident Lu Ren, I couldn't help but feel a little moved. 5 million taels was enough for her to squander for a while. Naturally, I was a little moved. You kid is too arrogant. Although he is full of confidence in his talent, he has no doubts about his ability to master the Flying Thunder God technique. But she didn't believe that the other party could grasp it so quickly. You know, 4th Hokage's talent is obvious to all. Not even Orochimaru can compare. Even if it is not as good as Lu Ren, it is impossible to be so bad. Okay, just bet. Thinking of this, Tsunade responded decisively. Anyway, this little guy has already taken advantage of him. Another 10-year-old kid, she has no burden. In this wave, she felt that she was sure to win. The leak. The corners of Lu Ren's mouth turned upward. Looking at Tsunade, who readily agreed to the bet in front of him, he said with amusement, this is what Sister Tsunade said, don't go back on it. Okay, I want to see, how did your kid master the Flying Thunder God technique within 2 or 3 hours? Tsunade crossed his arms and squinted at Lu Ren. Let me tell you, the talent of the 4th Hokage is the strongest among the Hokages of all ages, that is, there is no such special blood as Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki. Even, if he hadn't died young, his achievements would not be worse than mine. As the princess of the Senju clan, it stands to reason that I am used to seeing all kinds of geniuses, so I should have my eyes above the top. But even Tsunade has to admit to the talent of 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. That is really a genius who is rare in 100 years, and has a personality charm that others cannot match. It's a pity that he died too early. Just wait and be amazed. Lu Ren said with a smile. He acknowledged 4th Hokage's talent. But aside from his ability not to lose to 4th Hokage, or even a higher level of comprehension, he also has advantages that the 4th Hokage can't match. Cha Tun La. He sat down. Open the scroll of the Flying Thunder God technique. Study word for word. If it's a sealed book, maybe it contains notes left by 4th Hokage himself and his experience in practicing the Flying Thunder God technique, but now that 3rd Hokage has begun to guard against him, Danzo should have no access to the sealed book. Tsunade grinned. Of course she knew, with Lu Ren's comprehension. If you get the relevant commentary and practice experience of Flying Thunder God technique left by 4th Hokage, it is sure to be able to fully grasp it in the shortest possible time. You underestimate me, Sister Tsunade. Lu Ren studied the Flying Thunder God technique seriously without raising his head. It took a full half an hour. Word by word, ponder them over and over again, and keep them in mind. Okay, Lu Ren smiled. He opened the window directly. Turning around with a smile, she said to Tsunade, "See you later, wait for me in vain." The voice did not fall. Fly away towards the distance. Ghost. Tsunade's eyelids twitched after being teased. She knew this kid before, and he was a little lecherous. But unexpectedly, Lu Ren actually paid attention to himself. She is not stupid, how could she fail to see the little guy's thoughts on weekdays? In other words, Lu Ren has never concealed his covetousness for her teacher. At this time, a wood clone has just mastered a relatively simple low-level ceiling technique, and has a neutral position. Hearing what Tsunade said, he raised his head and said with a smirk, "Hey, Sister Tsunade, the main body likes you very much." Quote. Tsunade held his forehead and began to feel a little headache. The little devil who has entered puberty early is really difficult to deal with. It is different from outside speculation. There is no close relationship with Kato Dan, the two are just ordinary friends. She has never had a boyfriend, so she is not an unmarriageist, but she has never met anyone who is attracted to her. She was born in a famous family since she was a child, and she herself is one of the Sanin. She has a very high vision, and there is really no one who can catch her eye. Tsunade, who has always been extremely confident about his figure, naturally knows it. How attractive she is to those men, let alone a precocious young man like Lu Ren. Naturally, Lu Ren's appearance is not to be picked. So far, Tsunade has never seen anyone more handsome than this kid. Those guys in Uchiha can't compare, let alone Lu Ren's unspeakable temperament. Strength. This apprentice is an evildoer who cannot be judged by common sense. He can hang himself up and beat him without using his hands. Personality is also okay. Calm and sophisticated, sensible yet gentle. A proper Prince Charming. That kind of people. It fully fits Tsunade's vision of the future partner when he was young. But it happened to be his own disciple. Moreover, she is already in her mid-mature. 40 or 50 years old, if you count according to the chaotic Sengoku era, you can almost be the other party's grandmother. The average life expectancy of 30 years in that era was very exaggerated. Especially as a precarious ninja who often fights with the enemy with his head cocked for missions. Even children of a few years old will be sent to the battlefield. Therefore, in order to continue the bloodline, those families will not let the inheritance be cut off. When many people reach the age of 14 or 15, they will be arranged by their families to marry and have children. Tsunade rubbed between his brows. He let out a sigh of relief. Thinking about how to guide this brat correctly, lest this kid really get deeper and deeper in the future and go astray. She can't hide from her disciple every day, can she? At this stage, if Lu Ren is really allowed to go back to the village alone. Tsunade was really worried. She is sure that if Lu Ren returns to the village now, 9 times out of 10, I will directly use Wood Clone to replace myself as a doctor. And he is directly using the resources of the root organization to immerse himself in the forbidden technique that he has been thinking about. In the long run, with the root environment and style, maybe it really affects Lu Ren. This kid, why don't you look down on that girl Shunglin? Otherwise, sound is fine too. 0. Tsunade had to admit. Not to mention anything else, just Lu Ren's ridiculously handsome face. Even she is sometimes in a trance, almost fascinated. No wonder that little girl Xianglin was so fascinated. If it weren't for Lu Ren who discovered this at the beginning, he often deliberately teased her and corrected her a little bit. I'm afraid it wasn't just a matter of hooking a finger, and the girl couldn't help but get carried away with excitement and immediately sent it directly. Even Shizune sometimes looks at Lu Ren in a strange way. What's this called? Tsunade has a headache. However, that kid shouldn't. Looking at those wood clones who were immersed in the sealing technique. Tsunade thought of something, and his face turned pale. Oops. I was fooled. Forget that he still has Baihao technique. Chakra is completely enough to use multiple wood clone technique to practice Flying Thunder God. No wonder this guy didn't even take back the chakra assigned to these big clones. At first, she felt that Lu Ren practiced the Flying Thunder God technique. Even if the wood clone is split, it is impossible to split too much. Because Flying Thunder God technique requires a high amount of chakra. But she almost forgot that chakra's exaggeratedly large Lu Ren is different from her. His Baihao technique does not need to be accumulated for 3 years at all. For a moment, Tsunade had a sense of foreboding. That boy Lu Ren, that won't really work in 3 hours. Master the exaggeratedly difficult Flying Thunder God technique. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.